Additional Central Armed Police Force will be deployed in the state. Anti-terrorism grid has been fully activated. The centre as of now will not consider demands to relocate Hindus or migrant labour from out of the state. Targeted killings to disturb peace in Kashmir. They believe that this is part of a massive agenda, an agenda to try and make the entire attempt to normalize Kashmir come a cropper. And the one way to do that, viewers, is to ensure that the backbone, the economic backbone of the state, which is the vast reserve of labor, exits the state. So this is a part of a calculated attempt to break the economic resurgence that is being attempted by targeting outsiders or non-locals, and viewers, to create an atmosphere where even tourists feel trepidatious about visiting Kashmir. Now viewers, all of that is of course what transpired in this meeting. But that didn't stop the BJP and the Congress and other opposition parties from trading blame. Listen in, watch.
You should have taken, on the first death, this should have happened. You shouldn't wait for 18 deaths to call a meeting. That shows that somewhere you have not taken this issue very seriously, or you left it to local administration. My problem is, Kashmir is a sensitive issue. It's a complex issue. You can't win Kashmir on the basis of propaganda.
एक भी आतंकवादी, एक भी आतंकवादी बख्शा नहीं जाएगा। जिसके हाथ में हथियार हैं, जिसने भारत की नागरिकों पर हमला किया है, वो बख्शा नहीं जाएगा। उसे जल्द ही कब्र में पहुंचाएंगे। ये नरेंद्र मोदी की सरकार है, ये बिरयानी नहीं खिलाती आतंकवादियों को, उन्हें कब्र में पहुंचाती है।
Well, you've obviously heard the outcomes, viewers, but the centre can't absolve itself of the responsibility of safeguarding the interests of Kashmiri Hindus and in general the security of the state. Accountability needs to be affixed. Heads need to roll. But the killings beyond the immediate do raise some larger questions. And these questions, viewers, have been accumulating over a period of time. For instance, are the killings part of an uncompromising Islamist ideology that wants to cleanse the valley of all minorities, including Hindus? Is the silence of prominent Muslim leaders or Muslim civil rights activists a sign of an unsaid endorsement? After all, Muslims around India expect Hindus to speak up vociferously to condemn hate crimes against Muslims. When they don't, the community accuses Hindus of displaying Islamophobia or sympathies. Our attempts that we hear from time to time to rationalize the killings of Hindus by drawing false equivalences, emboldening anti-Hindu hate. Let's put these questions to our panelists today. 3 debates with Salman Khurshid. None of these gentlemen need an introduction. I want to first begin with you, Mr. Agnihotri. Your movie, The Kashmir Files, were based on a genocide that took place in the 90s, where you believe that a certain ideology was the reason behind what we saw. So I'm asking you, today, many people are drawing parallels with what happened in the 90s. Are the killings part of, therefore, an uncompromising Islamist outlook, an ideology that wants to cleanse the value of all minorities at a time when the government is committed to resettlement?
Thank you, Rahul, and I'm really glad that I'm talking to a gentleman like Salman Khurshid ji. See, this whole problem began in early 80s or mid 80s, I would say. One of the senior most journalists, one of the most respected journalists with credentials, who is also a very good friend of Mr. Khurshid, he was traveling with Rajiv Gandhi in an aircraft. And when he pointed out to him that so many killings of Hindus are taking place and there is almost no administration, why don't you interfere? And he said, but Abdullah Sahab is my friend, how can I interfere? He will feel bad. This is on records, and I'm not saying that, this is on records in books also. So it all began from taking this friendly approach towards people who were involved with terrorism. Whoever I spoke to, including lots of Kashmiri Muslim people, they were very unhappy that Yasin Malik was invited to Manmohan Singh's office and they were shaking hands. They were very unhappy that a lot of people who are Congress leaders, they go to Hurriyat leaders' houses and appease them. I think this entire vote bank politics of Congress to appease Muslim vote bank in India and therefore keeping quiet on terrorism, I think that has damaged India beyond repair, and it's a very difficult task for anybody. It's like you burn a house and then you get few buckets and say, why don't you putting off the fire? I think that in Kashmir issue, Pakistan, a lot of international lobbies, a lot of terror organizations were formed a nexus, and Congress gave them fuel, gave them ideological support. Even till date, I'm in UK, and the other day their leader Rahul Gandhi was in Cambridge, and all the places where I'm going, he has been there. Hindu community is very upset with him because he is drawing the line of India's enemies, and they are still giving ideological support to terror organizations. I want Mr. Khurshid to tell me why your party does not speak against terrorism. Why don't you call these people out? Why do you, first you call them out, first you say you are absolutely against Yasin Malik, JKLF and all these terror organizations. First you call out that the bank manager who was killed yesterday was killed because of Islamic terrorism. You call out that Ralif Galif Shalif was a radical religious terrorism. You say that in so many words, only after that one can have any kind of debate.
Mr. Khurshid, would you describe the spate of targeted killings of Hindus in the valley as an outcome of an uncompromising Islamist jihad being waged against a minority there just because of their identity? And it is led by the Maliks, the Burhanwanis, the Maliks who the Congress has also quoted quite evidently in the past, engaged in the past as stakeholders. Would you concede that point?
Well, let me just set the rules of the game straight first. I think it's important. Let me acknowledge that Vivek Agnihotri has done what I believe is a far-reaching effort to speak the truth, and to the extent that he has done that, let me say categorically on behalf of the party, let me say it on behalf of everyone who has a concern about what is going on in Kashmir and what is happening in Kashmir. Let me say categorically that we see no reason to be even remotely empathetic or sympathetic to the heinous crimes that are being committed in whichever name it may be. Now, the fact if someone uses Islam to commit that crime does not make me or force me or persuade me to put up a position and a statement against Islam. Be very clear. I am against the person who misuses Islam. So be categorically clear, that's one thing. Secondly, to say that whatever happened because of Congress soft ideology, I must say that for someone with the kind of foresight an artist and a filmmaker must have, he must be careful with what he says today, lest tomorrow the people he celebrates end up talking to somebody to put an end to the strife. We always talk to the enemy to put an end to the strife. The Americans talk to the Vietnamese and the Viet Cong. Everybody talks, and everyone is talking about setting a table so that Ukraine and Russia can speak. Now, let us not reduce things to a ridiculous level. But we may have made mistakes, and the mistakes are being made now. Now, to say that what is happening today is on the basis of an uncompromised Islamist strategy or an Islamist point of view, I reject completely. I don't care about what they label themselves as, but I do believe that Islam has no place in this, and if they are misusing Islam, they must be called out for that, and Mr. Agnihotri and I should both be calling them out rather than creating empathy or sympathy for them by taking divisive positions and by attacking Rahul Gandhi. I think this is not to reduce what is a very significant, important, grave challenge to India's sovereignty. Don't reduce this to the level of political, allegations against one person or another person. Let's keep this in a serious level and a serious debate. I believe, let me just say this, I believe what is happening today is part of a strategy that is being used against the strategy that we in the government of the country today tried to use to sort out what we believed was an unending problem in Kashmir. They are using a strategy, the enemy is using a strategy, we use a strategy. Now, whether we have to rethink our strategy, because the enemy can't be persuaded by us to rethink the strategy, unless we are able to persuade the enemy by force, by persuasion, by anything else. But my request is, let's keep this at an intellectual level. Let us not bring it down to screaming and shouting about who's to blame and who's not to blame. India is important. India's sovereignty is important. Nobody else matters. Let's be very clear. Let's be very clear. Every single citizen who is loyal to India in Jammu and Kashmir must be protected, irrespective of whether they are Hindu, Muslim, Sikh or Christian.
Mr. Khurshid, while that point is well taken, there are a couple of things that I want to bring you back on. How do you persuade the enemy when they are given cover fire? You compliment Mr. Agnihotri for making a film that, or through his art, bringing out the truth, as you yourself have said, or at least an approximation of truth. But your own party men made it very political. Look at Mallikarjun Kharge, who's not an incidental leader in the Congress setup. He said the Kashmir Files is a one-sided movie and misleading youth and the country. Even our Prime Minister himself is promoting this film and is trying to polarize the society. You had the Kerala Congress that said it was a terrorist who targeted Pandits. In 17 years, 399 Kashmiri Pandits were killed in terrorist attacks. The number of Muslims killed by terrorists in the same period was 15,000. Even in 1948, communal riots after partition, over 1 lakh Kashmiri Muslims were killed in Jammu. But there is no retaliatory killings of Pandits. Pandits are victims of terrorism, just like Kashmiris. Again, I was talking about these false equivalences because when Muslims are lynched in mainland India, in the heart of India, the murderous action is described as a Hindutva killing, as Hindutva hate. Here we have a problem calling it out as Islamist hate. Can't understand. Ranjit Surdewaja said life will not be run by seeing or showing films and spreading hatred and division in society. So in effect, Mr. Agnihotri was called the part of a hate mob that would incite Muslims into hitting back. And that's precisely what is happening on the ground. And some people are saying this is exactly what is happening. So that's the rationalization.
Are you interested in my position?
Yeah,
are you interested in my position?
I was just framing the question by giving you some examples.
Say to you very categorically, or are you? No. You don't frame questions. You don't frame questions by giving 500 statements about who said what. I cannot disagree with Mr. Kharge or anybody else if they come to a conclusion that this is exaggerated and one-sided. It may be exaggerated and one-sided, but I am at least responding to your core concern and Mr. Agnihotri's core concern. People will have an opinion. Somebody will like this film, somebody would not like this film. So put it aside. It doesn't matter. Some people will reject it, some people will accept it. But you've made a film, and I'm saying if you've made a film, please live up to the position of being an artist. Don't become a participant in a political slugfest.
But why?
But be that as it may, it's your choice. I can't force something on you.
Let me bring in Mr. Agnihotri on that. Be an artist.
I'm telling you.
Don't have a political point of view. You're being a politician.
One minute.
By taking on the Congress.
No, don't bring in Mr. Agnihotri till I finish. Let me finish. We are not asking anyone to do something or not do something. It is your conscience when people are killed in any part of India. It's the conscience of the people who are in governing positions to say what they think is right. And similarly, what happens in Kashmir, our conscience and everyone's conscience requires us to respond. And I am saying to you categorically on behalf of my party that what is happening today in terms of the killings is awful, it is unacceptable, it is heinous, it is pathetic. I'm saying that to you. Now, nobody has said use these words for lynching that has happened in any part of India, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Our position, our conscience and our attitude is absolutely clear. Now you can tell Mr. Agnihotri to respond.
Well, I mean, people have condemned the lynchings outright. Even the Prime Minister called them the handiwork of goons that had sort of ascribed to themselves the definition of being Gaurakshaks. I think we remember that. Anyhow,
handiwork of goons. Please, let's not get into the dictionary. Let's not get into the dictionary. You all won't go very far. But be that as it may, let's hear Mr. Agnihotri. I want to hear what he has to say.
Yes, Mr. Agnihotri, be an artist. Don't get into the politics of it. You have no business of being in the politics of it. Don't make personal remarks, says Mr. Khurshid, against politicians.
Not. In fact, the only reason I agreed, I'm in Scotland right now. I have a very busy schedule. Was supposed to be at the Holocaust Museum. The Jew community has invited me, despite it being closed, because they saw the film and they thought they must have empathy for the pain of Kashmiri Hindus. And so, but I postponed it and I came only because Mr. Khurshid was coming here. I have always been a great admirer of his patience and the good man which he is. But the only thing is, you have been talking our, you didn't say I. Since you did not say about yourself, you were talking on behalf of your party. I think you must have read Mr. Khurshid. The biggest responsibility of an artist is to protect and defend his own art. When the leader of your party, who himself comes from a Kashmiri Pandit lineage, in fact, Jawaharlal Nehru's name was Jawaharlal Nehru, he started writing Pandit as an honor and as a matter of something to show off that he belonged to Kashmiri Pandit community. I have read passages from Indira Gandhi, who always said that her heart bleeds looking at the pain and agony of Kashmiri Pandits. There's a letter which she wrote to somebody. So he also comes from the same lineage. His father was assassinated, his grandmother was assassinated by terrorism. Despite that, he has been making fun of this film on international platforms. I didn't know about it. I got to know only when I reached Britain. A lot of people started asking me that why a Kashmiri Pandit, president of a party which basically was funded by Motilal Nehru, who was a Kashmiri Pandit, today is standing on the side of the terrorists. So I am only here to defend my art. Second thing I want to say, my film was produced by a Muslim. One of the most critical scenes of my film has been written by a Kashmiri Muslim boy living in Kashmir Valley. Most of the actors are from Kashmir. My film has been line produced by Kashmiri Muslims, not Hindus. In my film, Hindu characters are being played by Muslim characters and Muslim characters are played by Hindus. You do not know what kind of a filmmaker I am. I was asked by the Kashmiri Pandit community to make a film on their plight. Now, why is your party officially calling it Islamophobic? Because in my film I have not used the word Muslim even once. I have not used the word Pakistan, so that there is no hate towards Muslim and Pakistan, because Pakistan is a Muslim country. I have just spoken against terrorism, not even spoken, shown against terrorism. Why is your party and Mr. Rahul Gandhi assuming the film is Islamophobic? Do you guys, does Rahul Gandhi, does Sonia Gandhi, they equate terrorism with Islam? This is my pointed question to you. If it is not in your mind, you will never call this film Islamophobic, because the Jew community, the blacks, the Yazidis, the Afghani Muslims, they are not calling it Islamophobic. What is your special reason and logic? Please enlighten me. I want to understand as an artist, to satisfy my conscience. Why do you equate terrorism with Islam?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think that's a very, very creative and I think a very, very helpful question that you've asked. So since you asked me, you're saying constantly our and you're not saying I. Well, let me just use the word I. I clearly say that I have empathy for the suffering of the people who you have tried to portray in this movie to the best of your ability. Thank you very much. And I certainly have disgust for people who have perpetrated oppression on them. Let that be very clear. Now, you have not shown me, and nobody has shown me a categorical statement of any of my leaders that, other than disagreeing with the film, have actually said what you are saying that they have said. The clear position of my party and my leaders is that terrorism has nothing to do with religion. That's very clear. They say that terrorism has nothing to do with religion, despite the fact that terrorists use religion to hide behind, not just here in India, but elsewhere in the world as well. We know that for sure. And if in that context a statement is being said which you are reading as a statement of empathy or a statement of combining terrorism with religion, then I may just say to you that that's a mistake that you are making, and if you were to show me that statement, I will try to explain it to the best of my ability. But that is not the position my leaders hold. My leaders are completely, totally dedicated against any form of violence and terrorism, particularly of the kind that you have projected in your movie. And therefore you are not on two different sides. But it's possible, despite that, there may be any number of reasons why some leaders disagree with the manner in which the message is presented. I've written a review of your film. I have said that some things in your film may not be true, but even if they are true, there might have been a better way of presenting them. But that's my opinion. That's my opinion. It's not to say that you are dishonest. Nobody is saying you are dishonest, but we are seeking, in a very fractured, painful world where people have a lot to complain about each other. We are trying to heal these wounds, and I hope and I wish that you could have healed the wounds just as many other films that have been made on Kashmir and elsewhere have tried to heal the wounds. And if you think that you've tried to heal the wounds, well, sorry if I didn't get that message. I'll see the film again.
Mr. Khurshid, that's the reason why I went into some lengthy quotes trying to bring to you what was said, because I knew that you would say that no one actually said any of these things. So I just want you to go back over Mallikarjun Kharge's remark. The Kashmir Files is a one-sided movie and misleading youths of the country. Even our Prime Minister himself is promoting this film and is trying to polarize society by putting out this film. Randeep Surjewala said, and this is very clear, India is not a film but a reality. India will not be run by films but by government's policies and governance. Life will not be run by seeing or showing films and spreading hatred and division in society. Modi ji should tell us when our Kashmiri Pandits be rehabilitated and should give us a date. When Kashmiri Pandits were forced to flee under the shadow of terror and barbarism in 1990, what were the 85 BJP MPs doing then? So there are two allusions. Number one, that it was a divisive attempt.
Where is the word Islam? Sorry, where is the word Islamophobia used here for the film? Where?
Oh, a large number of
Islamophobia used here for the film. Okay, please show that.
A large number. Look, I wasn't. 1 minute. I just want to say that the idea that this was a divisive film was spread aggressively. I'll try to dig out that quote, but I do remember that on this show, one Congress spokesperson.
No problem. That's an opinion. So, that's an opinion.
But that's the problem.
That's an opinion.
Now, that is where the problem is.
We can have an opinion about a film. Some people say.
Okay, let me bring in Mr. Agniotri. Let me bring in Mr. Agniotri. I don't want to be anyone's counsel here.
To agree with the film.
Okay, Mr. Agniotri. Are you
Please
satisfied
do.
with this response? Yes.
No, please do, please do.
No, I'm very happy to talk to Mr. Khurshid because he listens, so that's a great thing. I wish Rahul Gandhi ji also listened to wise people like you. The thing is, you know that I'm a director, I can read faces, so the expression on your face is of utter helplessness, but I also feel helpless. I gave up my green card in US, came back.
No, please don't say that.
India.
Please don't say that. The expression is of helplessness. I am not helpless, Mr. Agnihotri. Let's be clear about the rules. You can't imprint something on me. But please say what you want to say.
Sir, listen to this. Listen to this. Who's Salman Nizami?
Sure. Listening.
Who's Salman Nizami?
He's not Rahul Gandhi.
Who is Salman Nizami? Salman Nizami is your leader.
He's not Rahul Gandhi. Salman Nizami.
Listen to me.
Nizami
Sir,
is like Salman Khurshid. He's like
sir,
Salman
you are a lawyer.
Khurshid.
Sir, you are a lawyer. You are a lawyer.
Please.
In court, you corroborate two facts and you say, therefore, this happened.
Yeah.
Listen to me. Salman Nizami calls Kashmir Files Islamophobic and he hurls abuses at Vivek Agnihotri. Congress party's official handle retweets that. Hundreds of Congress top leaders, right from Mr. Surjewala, I don't know exactly, but I remember, and I have in front of me here, you can go and check, these people retweet and like it. It's like endorsing. Immediately after that, your leader, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, he immediately starts criticizing the film, he starts talking about the film, and he uses the satire. Satire is the best way to create narrative. He starts using satire and sarcasm against the Prime Minister. He says, instead of promoting a fake film like the Kashmir Files. Now the thing is, on what basis Rahul Gandhi says it's fake is based on the testimonials of 700 first-generation victims who were killed and cut into pieces. And you said you don't know whether the film is healing or not. B.K. Ganju's daughter wrote to us saying that for 32 years they never ever in their family discussed the horrendous death, the inhuman killing of her father. After 32 years after seeing this film, their family has started healing. Girija Tikku's family wrote to me saying that after 32 years, for the first time somebody even spoke about them, they have started healing. I have got hundreds of emails and letters, and I just want to share it with you so that you pass it on to your top leadership, and they are writing to me, do you realize when you call this film Islamophobic and when you call this film fake, what kind of disservice you are doing to humanity, how you are already hurt Kashmiri Pandit families. Do you realize that? Do you have any word to say sorry to these people for hurting them? On behalf of Congress, on behalf of late Shri Jawaharlal Nehru's great soul, who was a Kashmiri Pandit himself, can you say sorry to all Kashmiri Hindus who were killed by people shouting slogans like Ralev, Galev, Shalev, Hindu man, leave your women behind, and who today, where used to be 100% Hindu population, that great land of Shiva and Saraswati has almost no Hindus. Can you say sorry to them on behalf of your party? They will feel good. It's a message I am passing on. These are not my original thoughts.
Have you finished, Mr. Agnihotri? No. Have you finished? You still haven't shown me. You still haven't shown me any statement of Mr. Rahul Gandhi saying it's Islamophobic. Somebody said it's Islamophobic, somebody retweeted, etc. You're not going to hold Mr. Rahul Gandhi responsible for the tweet industry. Please. He has not used the word Islamophobic. If he uses the word exaggerated, fake, not acceptable, etc., you can't complain. Everybody has an opinion about every film. Not everybody likes every film. You know that. You people don't like each other's films quite often. And I'm grateful that you said, no, please listen, don't ask these side questions, please listen. I listened to you carefully, please listen. And you have I believe, very graciously told us about the number of Muslims who were engaged in making of the film. And I must say that I acknowledge that this is an exercise that you did with an open mind and an inclusive exercise in which you got many people from all communities to participate to make the film. How much inputs they provided, whether they provided the right inputs or not, is not for me to tell because I don't know them personally. All I am saying is that you jump from here, and this is the problem with every artist who begins to jump. You jump from one person's statement and then imputed that statement to Mr. Rahul Gandhi. That is unacceptable. That is unacceptable. If you're asking me to apologize, then we have to sit down and do a whole day's program as to who must apologize to whom, where all we must apologize in this country. Every time we say, let's apologize to each other and let's join hands to find a solution to what is a terrible, cancerous problem for our land, people say, there you are, you're admitting your guilt, you're admitting your defeat. That is not the attitude in which we can come to any resolution. So I am saying, let's open our minds and reach out and do the real healing. If you have healed for somebody, let me congratulate you. If you have healed even for one person, let me congratulate you that you achieved something. But please go and achieve on a larger scale healing for everybody, irrespective of their religion, irrespective of where they are.
Okay, two words you've been stressing on: opinion and empathy. It's their opinion. It's their opinion. Well, sir, Holocaust deniers also had an opinion. So you have a situation where if the Congress party's official handle endorses...
Why are you bringing Holocaust into this?
Because in 1990 we witnessed a Holocaust.
Endorses what?
We witnessed a Holocaust.
Endorses what?
Well, I mean, let me finish, sir. Don't pounce on me.
I'm sorry.
I never pounced on you, sir. Okay, we can't have a conversation. You're pouncing on me.
I am not.
You're trying to intimidate me.
I'm not here. I am not here.
You're not letting me speak.
I'm not here to talk about the Holocaust. I am not here to
I am here to talk about the 1990 Holocaust.
You can't do this. You can't change the goalpost.
We are talking about the 1990 Holocaust, sir.
You put an end to this program now.
Sir, we are talking
about the Holocaust.
Why are you losing your shirt?
For Holocaust? No. I am sorry. I am afraid. I will not answer. Not the Holocaust. I am sorry. Please don't bring the Holocaust into this. I will not bring Gujarat into it. Let not bring something else into
Why?
it. Let's talk about
Why can't we talk about 1990?
Let's talk about Kashmir.
No, why can't we are talking about Kashmir and we are talking about the Holocaust in 1990.
If you change the goalpost,
how am I changing the goalpost?
If you change the goalpost,
I began this show.
Please understand.
Okay.
You cannot push people.
What's gone wrong with you?
I'm sorry.
Mr.
I will not
calm down.
it. You must accept your rules by which the guest comes to you. Don't change the goalpost. I am sorry.
Okay, but I don't know what's got into you. All I was saying is that people who deny...
I think
nothing has got into me. Nothing has got into me. I'm just telling you. Talk to me about
you used the word...
me for. Don't talk to me about something else.
You use the word empathy. Many people think, sir, that you're paying lip service to the term.
Yes.
Empathy is acknowledging that a genocide happened.
Right, that's your opinion.
Let me finish.
That's your opinion.
Let me finish, sir. Why aren't you letting me finish?
I'm not here to satisfy you.
What have we set off? I can't ask you a question.
You finish because you turn everything around. I'm sorry.
I'm not. You use these words.
Listen, this is my last warning. If you don't want a conversation, I walk out. If you don't want a conversation, I walk out. Simple.
But Mr. Khurshid, if you're not going to allow me to frame the questions on the words that you yourself have used, then how can we have a conversation? I don't understand what rules these are.
No.
Anyhow,
Can I just butt in for a
ask
second?
me the question. Please understand.
खुर्शीद साहब मैं बताऊं प्रॉब्लम क्या है. मैं आपको सच्ची बात बताता हूं. And from the bottom of my heart, I want to tell you this. That the people from your party have been openly behaving like genocide deniers. They are denying there was a genocide. It's not a good thing. Number one, as a vice person, senior most leader, if you can just put some sense in their mind and say, okay, you don't acknowledge it, but don't be a genocide denier. Second problem with your party is that they are using this film as a collateral damage for their political battles, which is not a good thing. I always ask your party people, would you ever do that with Schindler's List? They will never do that. And good news is, yesterday a member of Parliament, of Scottish Parliament, in one of my events, after seeing that, he said that he is going to put a motion in Scottish Parliament. It's on record. The video will be out in next 1 hour. He said he's going to put a motion so that Scottish Parliament acknowledges it as a genocide. Your party, which belongs to Kashmiri Pandits, Pandit Nehru, Motilal Nehru, Indira Gandhi, would you pass a motion in Parliament saying that it was a genocide? If no, can you on TV say, yes, indeed, it was a genocide of Kashmiri Pandits? I have a very pointed question. Was it a genocide?
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
Yeah, can I answer that? Can I answer that?
Yeah.
Can I answer that? I have said to you already that this is a great tragedy. It's a great tragedy. And it's a painful tragedy. And I've also said to you that your attempt to express the truth about this tragedy is something as an artist you are entitled to do. But not everybody will agree with your assessment, everybody will agree with your treatment. Be that as it may, you are now saying that I should say what one MP in the Scottish Parliament is saying. Now, that's not for me to say here. You are asking me to convey a message to my party. I will happily convey a message to my party. My only difference with you today has been that you used the artist's or the filmmaker's technique by saying, Mr. Khurshid, your face looks helpless. Now, please don't do these little tricks with me. My face doesn't look helpless. I don't want to say, do, or act in a manner that would be feeding what we don't want fed, which is a difference of opinion that goes down to the ground and divides our people. You have said something and done something. I am saying we shouldn't be banning it. I am saying we shouldn't be celebrating it. We should just look at it as a piece of art, agree and disagree. But at the end of the day, the takeaway should be, let's get our country together again. Please, let's get our country together again. That's all that I can say authoritatively today. You want me to take a message to my
viewers? Reconciliation can happen. No, 1 second. Reconciliation can happen when we accept the truth up front. Mr. Kharge, in his own comment, said the Kashmir Files is a one-sided movie and misleading the youth of the country. Lies mislead, viewers. What is unstated is that lies mislead. If you have the truth, you can't be misled. You're informed. Point 1. Point 2, viewers, if it is a one-sided narrative, why shouldn't it be? When have the victims in this country of that genocide and that Holocaust ever had their say? Which court has given them time? We've heard the view from Mr. Khurshid. He talked about empathy. Empathy is when you give justice, when you create the circumstances for providing justice. Did anyone for those crimes be tried? The Sikhs faced the same problem for a long time. And a large number of people associated with the Congress had blood on their hands. We had the Batla House encounter. That was brushed away. So, viewers, denials come in many shades.
Listen, I'm sorry.
And the problem is,
you're going back again. I am sorry you talk about Kashmir. You talk about Kashmir or you talk about Batla House.
I'm talking about Kashmir. I'm talking about Kashmir. But when you talk about empathy, when you have to, fair enough.
If you talk about empathy, please talk about Gujarat.
When you have to
talk about Gujarat.
People have gone to jail for Gujarat. People have gone to jail. There were trials that were held. The Prime Minister, who is the current Prime Minister, was questioned. Amit Shah was questioned.
Who's gone to jail and what happened?
Several of them have gone to jail. There have been so many convictions. Name me one person who's gone to jail for the Holocaust in Kashmir, sir.
Let me
name me one person.
Vivek Agnihotri. I can speak to Vivek Agnihotri.
No, you see,
I can't speak to you.
You see, viewers,
I can't speak to you, but
I'm closing this argument. I'm closing this debate.
Isn't that a tragedy?
I am closing this debate.
I'm sorry, you won't get past me. I'm sorry, you won't get past me.
Sir, I'm not standing in your way. I rest my case.
You are wasting his time.
I rest my case, sir.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Let Vivek Agnihotri talk to me. You're not going to get past me. I'm sorry, you're not going to get past me. This is not the way to bully your guests who come in to speak about something serious. You are not serious about anything that's happening in this country. You only want to play games, and I'm not willing to play games with you.
Well,
absolutely
sir,
clear.
if suggesting that empathy means that you give... No, one second. If empathy means... No, 1 second. If empathy means not securing justice for someone, then I'm playing games, and I humbly admit to my fault. It's okay. Yes, Mr. Agnihotri, quick comments and I'll shut the debate.
I have to go to Holocaust Museum. They have called me to pay homage and tribute to all the victims of Kashmir genocide. So I have to read. A lot of people are waiting. I just want to have one closing remark, and I am saying it from the bottom of my heart what my conscience tells me. Both my parents were freedom fighters. Okay, and so please trust me, and my father was a Gandhian, and Vidyacharan Shukla was my uncle. The entire Congress leadership was killed by Naxals in Chhattisgarh. From your party, not BJP, not Communist, no other party. Your entire leadership, you remember Mr. Khurshid was killed by Naxals? You remember? Yeah. Right? Yes, when I see, so Vidyacharan Shukla, Shamacharan Shukla, Ravi Shankar Shukla, they were all my family. They are still my family. The entire family was killed by Naxals. When I see young Rahul Gandhi to go and stand with the Naxal supporting students, Tupde gang, give them ideological, emotional support, to stand with all those, sir, please trust me, there are pictures, there are photographs. He went there, he went to JNU, supported them. Rahul Gandhi is always found standing with the enemies of India. Slowly your party has started sounding as if you are absolutely anti-Hindu. And when I came to UK, people feel your party is now becoming anti-India. Please don't give me any explanation. Sir, I'm requesting you, don't give me any answer. Just pass on this message to the great grandson of the great Kashmiri Pandit Shri Jawaharlal Nehru, so that he understands that he should not stand with anybody who picks up guns, violence, and terrorizes a community which is a minority in Kashmir. Thank you. I have to go, Rahul. Please excuse me.
Well, I'm not going to come in anyone's way. I'll close this debate. We leave it at that.
You go. See, you've said something. I have to say something as well. Or otherwise, do you have rules by which?
No, say, finish, sir. Finish.
I'll wait.
Pass judgment on my party. No, what do you mean finish? What do you finish? You let somebody say something and you don't let me answer. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Please take it that I'll never come back to your program if this is the manner in which you will function. I'll never come back. You made a whole statement has been made at the end of the program and you haven't allowed me to reply.
You said you wanted to hear from Mr. Agnihotri.
I have the social media. I'm going to
No, please go ahead. Finish. We haven't finished. Finish. Make your response, sir.
Mr. Agnihotri to pass judgment. So please take my response.
I am.
My response is that Mr. Agnihotri, it's your point of view. I'm giving you my response. This may be Mr. Agnihotri's point of view. This is not a point of view to which I can accept. What happened because of the attacks of the extremists in the state in which they destroyed many of our leaders has nothing to do with students who have an ideology in JNU or any other college. Now,
no, sir, you are wrong. You are no, sir. They celebrated the killing of 76 CRPF jawans. Sir, please, the same students celebrated.
Nobody celebrated. I'm sorry.
Why are you defending these students?
Take it from me. If anybody celebrated the death of our leaders, at the hand of extremists, I am saying to you, they are betrayers of this land and they are betrayers of humanity. I am saying
Thank you. So which means Rahul Gandhi is a betrayer
and leave that as a last impression. I'm sorry, but that has to be taken not with a pinch of salt, but with a huge amount of salt.
Okay, I'll close it, viewers. I'll close it here. You've heard two sides. I'll leave it for you to judge. Viewers, in more news today, it's been a busy one. 6 days after Sidhu Moosewala was shot dead in cold blood, Times Now has acquired fresh CCTV footage of what police sources say are the prime suspects. Yes, If true, prima facie, the footage shows that the Bolero car had made a pit stop at a fuel station before the killing. These pictures that you're seeing on your screen are from that pit stop at a fuel station, and you can see certain individuals coming out of the Bolero. If the CCTV footage is truly of the alleged killers, then this would constitute a big breakthrough, because this would be the first time that faces have been put to those who are suspected of having pulled the trigger. Times Now has placed a band across the faces of the suspects because the police hasn't yet confirmed if these men pulled the trigger. They are suspects, they are alleged killers. The Bolero car seen in the footage is the same as the Bolero seen at the scene of the crime. And viewers, let me quickly give you a rundown. 4 days before the murder, the same Bolero was spotted in Haryana heading to Punjab. The day of the murder, 30 minutes before the killing, it trailed Moosewala's Thar SUV. The day of murder, 12 minutes before the killing, it was also in pursuit of Moosewala's Thar. And those pictures tell you the entire story. Day of murder, seconds before the murder, you can hear the gunshots and you can also see the Bolero passing in the immediate vicinity. And then, viewers, it was also used as a getaway vehicle. Naturally, the killers jumped back in and they escaped. So the Bolero is the constant fixture in all the footage. Are the people also who were within the Bolero caught out on this CCTV part of the team that assassinated or killed, brutally murdered Sidhu Moosewala? We can't say. The police seem to suggest they are. Well, viewers, that breakthrough could possibly hold the key. But there has also been another heinous crime, this time being reported out of Hyderabad, a gang rape of a minor girl. She was allegedly picked up by 4, maybe 5 young men from a local pub. She was virtually apprehended and gang raped in a moving car. The pictures of that car are on your screens. What makes the crime more heinous is that, viewers, this was very well planned and thought out, diabolical attempt at luring away a minor and then raping her, and the fact that top VIPs and their children might be linked to this particular crime has obviously meant that it has acquired a massive salience in the state of Hyderabad and beyond. Sources are telling Times Now that the son of a local MIM MLA is also being questioned. The grilling of the son is underway. Protests have broken out across the state, specifically in Hyderabad. Here are some ground reports.
On 28th of May, a minor girl was gang raped. Right now, we are standing in the Jubilee Hills police station, and in this jurisdiction, this incident has reported. And later, the victim's father has approached the Jubilee Hills police station, stating that her daughter was taken to amnesia pub, by her 2 friends, and they later sexually assaulted. But police have immediately lodged a case, and also, investigation has been begun. And a preliminary investigation has stated that there are 4 to 5 minors who are involved in this case, and actually she was brought to the amnesia pub, and later her 2 friends have left the pub, and she met then around 4 to 5 minor boys. Actually, we can also see it in the CCTV footage. Then later they have lured her and taken her, and we can also clearly see here the car is seized by the police, and this is suspected that in this car the gang rape has happened, and police said that there are 4 to 5 minors who have lured her, taken her from the pub, and while the car was on move, the rape has occurred. The rape has happened, and police said that there are several angles emerged, and also they are investigating into MIM MLA's son who was in the car at the preliminary stage before the rape has reported. So they are also investigating that whether MIM MLA's son is involved in the gang rape or not, and whether the 3-4 other minors, whether what exactly happened, and when did the incident happen, and what was the exact time. These all things are being investigated as of now, and these 4 minors, they are right now absconding, and police said that they'll be nabbed very soon. With Vijay Kiran Swamit for Times Now.
As I said, massive protests have broken out in Hyderabad over this alleged rape. The protest was staged by the BJP's youth wing, demanding a fair probe into this entire dastardly crime and the arrest of the MIM MLA's son. As of now, viewers, not much action has taken place on the ground. Times Now has also accessed the CCTV of the pub and the moments during which this entire luring, kidnapping, abduction, etc. took place. The BJP, as I said, protesting, demanding justice. Listen in.
Police has the car in which the girl was abducted and raped. But till now, Telangana police has not arrested anyone. One of these accused happens to be an MLA son of MIM party. And another seems to be a very important leader of TRS party, the name till now unknown, and his son, and a Waqf board chairman's son. And there is a serious effort by Telangana police, which is being now pressured, seemingly, to hush up the case. Why are these goons still free? What is the police looking for? A clearance from KCR? Or a clearance from MIM chief Asaduddin Owaisi?
Viewers will be tracking all these stories, giving you fresh updates. We leave it at this. Thank you for watching.
Times Now. Action begins here.
Prime Minister Modi kick-started the UP Investor Summit in Lucknow. Addressing the event, the Prime Minister said that UP will show the route to the nation's growth. Kar has sent out a message to Europe for being silent on several issues. Speaking at the GlobeSec Forum, he said that Europe must grow out of its mindset in order to solve global challenges. Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami won the Champawat Assembly seat in the bypoll election by a whopping 92% margin. He beat Congress leader Nirmala Ghator. The Delhi High Court has asserted that people violating rules regarding wearing of masks and hand hygiene at the airport or in flights must face strict action. The court has asked DGCA to impose heavy fines on violators and also physically remove them if necessary.
Times now. Action begins here.
For the last 2 years, the world has been relentlessly fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. As the countries across the globe prioritize vaccinations to keep the next wave of COVID at bay, India also rolled out precautionary jabs this year to achieve herd immunity against the virus. While COVID has not risen substantially in India in the last few months, the pandemic has not yet faded. India has remained on guard, but vaccination among children remains low and is significantly less talked about.
Immunizing the kids will not only check the spread of the asymptomatic infections, who can act as silent hosts for the virus, and which will lead to again spread in the society, but again it can also mitigate the severity, the intensity of the infection in children. Now that the schools have reopened, it is very important that the children are vaccinated. A lot of parents are still hesitant about sending the children to school, but definitely children should no longer stay at home. They should definitely go to school. And so to vaccinate them, by vaccinating them, we can allay this fear in the parents' mind. Almost 40% of pediatric deaths below the age of 20 years were in the age group of 0 to 9 years. Majority of infection in children are asymptomatic infection. Almost 70 to 80% of children have very minimal infections or they remain asymptomatic. Check the spread of the virus. Almost 60 to 65% of the adult population has been fully vaccinated with the successful ongoing vaccination program. So if you want to take up the figure to a much higher level, say 80 to 90%, it is important that the children are advocated the vaccine, and that is possibly the only way to end this pandemic.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Over the last few weeks, the Shivling versus Fountain debate has been very, very shrill and has been getting shrill reactions as well. There is a pause now on the Gyanvapi tussle, at least legally, but politically the fireworks are as loud as they can get. BJP has been accused of furthering its saffron agenda and trying to deflect attention from the real issues of the people. They have been accused of covertly running this narrative of division and polarization on the directions of the Sangh. But that position of the opposition seems to be on shaky ground after RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat drew the line on this entire issue. While affirming faith, the claim of Hindus over Gyanvapi, Mohan Bhagwat reminded that any move at reclamation must be pursued through the courts or through consensus, and that Hindus must not go looking for a shivling in every mosque across the country. Listen in to that clear message that came in from the RSS chief.
वो इतिहास हमने नहीं बनाया, न आज के अपने आप को हिंदू कहलाने वालों ने बनाया, न आज के मुसलमानों ने बनाया। उस समय घटा, इस्लाम बाहर से आया, आक्रमकों के हाथ आया। उस आक्रमण में भारत की स्वतंत्रता चाहने वाले व्यक्तियों का मनोधैर्य खच्चे करने के लिए देवस्थान तोड़े गए। हिंदू समाज का विशेष ध्यान जिन पर है, विशेष श्रद्धा जिनके बारे में ऐसे कुछ है, उसके बारे में मामले उठते हैं। ज्ञानवापी के बारे में हमारी कुछ श्रद्धाएं हैं, परंपरा से चलती आई, हम कर रहे हैं, ठीक है, लेकिन रोज एक मामला निकालना नया, ये भी नहीं करना चाहिए। हमको झगड़ा क्यों बढ़ाना है? और ठीक है, प्रतीकात्मक कुछ हमारी विशेष श्रद्धा थी, ऐसे स्थानों के बारे में हमने कहा, परंतु हर मस्जिद में शिवलिंग क्यों देखना? हम तो कुछ नहीं कहते। हमने 9 नवंबर को कह दिया कि एक राम जन्मभूमि का आंदोलन था जिसमें हम अपने प्रकृति के विरुद्ध किसी ऐतिहासिक कारण से उस समय की परिस्थिति में सम्मिलित हुए। हमने उस काम को पूरा किया। अब हमको कोई आंदोलन वगैरह करना नहीं है। आपस में मिल बैठकर सहमति से कोई रास्ता निकाले, लेकिन हर बार नहीं निकल सकता। इसमें कोर्ट में जाते हैं तो फिर कोर्ट जो निर्णय देगा उसको मानना चाहिए।
Bhagwat's message of unity has left the opposition completely unimpressed. AIMIM chief Asaduddin Owaisi, in 17 tweets that he put out today, said who Mohan Bhagwat or JP Nadda were to give any such assurances. He said he wants the Prime Minister to come clean on the 1991 Places of Worship Act. What's worse is that the AIMIM chief resorted to fear-mongering once again. He asked if there was going to be a Babri repeat in Varanasi, and he's not alone. Opposition united to say that if the RSS chief was so keen on drawing the line, then he should ensure the message reaches those who follow the Sangh's instructions, pointing at the BJP, who they accuse of spearheading this entire issue to create a polarizing environment. Words and actions don't match, says the opposition, but the Saffron Party is only emboldened by Bhagwat's message of a ceasefire of sorts after Gyanvapi. The BJP says this is a mirror to the opposition. Listen in to this war of words.
जो लोग सुबह से शाम तक आरएसएस को, बीजेपी को, मोदी जी को पानी पी पी करके कोसते हैं, उनके लिए ये आईना है। अब दिक्कत ये है कि उनके चेहरे पर दाग लगा हुआ है, लेकिन वो आईना पोंछने की कोशिश करते हैं। और जो आक्रमणकारी हैं, उनके गुनाहों की गठरी की हिफाजत करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है। ऐसी जो गुनाहों की गठरी जिसके हर छेद से जुल्म और जुर्म की कहानी साफ दिखाई पड़ रही है। इसलिए मुझे लगता है जो लोग इस मुद्दे को लेकर के मिसलीड करने की कोशिश करते हैं, भ्रम और भय का माहौल पैदा करने की कोशिश करते हैं, उनके लिए ये एक आईना है।
मोहन भागवत जी ने समझदारी की बात की है, पर भाजपा की टोली नासमझ है। दुर्भाग्य तो इस बात का है कि उनके मुखिया समझदारी की बात करते हैं कैमरा पे, और भाजपा के जो पूरे टोली है जो समाज को एक समाज में सांप्रदायिकता का जहर फैलाना चाहती है, वो ही नहीं मोहन भागवत जी पे विश्वास करते। ये तो अब मोहन भागवत जी और भाजपा को इकट्ठा बैठ के एक सहमति बनानी चाहिए थी कि सत्य जो उनकी नियत नीति है वो है जो मोहन भागवत माइक और कैमरे पे बोलते हैं, या वो हैं जो भाजपा की टोली जमीन पे सांप्रदायिकता का जहर फैलाती है।
Some would say for the BJP and the RSS, it is damned if you do and damned if you don't. So the legitimate question that we're asking on the Newshour tonight, is onslaught on Mohan Bhagwat justified? That's the question and the debate on the other side. Bhagwat Gyanvapi message, that's the hashtag and the debate coming up.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
And joining me tonight, Gaurav Bhatia, national spokesperson of the BJP, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, author, Lokesh Jindal, Congress leader, Shoaib Jamai, president of the Indian Muslim Foundation. But my first question goes to Danish Qureshi, political analyst. Danish Qureshi ji, I have a very simple question for you. The question is, 17 tweets jab samajhdari ki baat ho rahi hai, when Mohan Bhagwat ji is drawing the line, drawing the Lakshman Rekha and say that, okay, Gyanvapi matter is in the courts, try and sit together, find a solution, and if you can't, listen to what the courts say in their verdict, but to try and find a shivling in every mosque, that's not called for and that should be ended. And he said, हम कोई आंदोलन नहीं करने वाले, राम मंदिर का आंदोलन था, अब जो हो रहा है या तो मिल बैठ के कर लो या कोर्ट के थ्रू कर लो. What is wrong in the statement that there is so much of opposition and angst that Mr. Owaisi has found?
नाविका, मैं तो सिर्फ इतना ही कहूँगा कि क्या मोहन भागवत जी का जो ये स्टेटमेंट है, क्या ये उन्हीं के लोग कर रहे हैं? ऐसा है तो उनके कहने से रुक जाएगा? मतलब पहले तो उनको ये क्लैरिफाई कर देना चाहिए कि क्या ये उन्हीं के कहने से हो रहा है, तो फिर इस तरीके का पब्लिक स्टेटमेंट देने से शायद वो रुकेगा. रह गई बात कि वो जो कह रहे हैं ना, दिक्कत परेशानी उससे ये है कि वो ये कह रहे हैं कि राम मंदिर का जो है पूरा आंदोलन चलाया, जबकि ऑलमोस्ट मैटर तो सब जुडिस था ही वो. फिर भी आपने उस वक्त तो नहीं माना कि मैटर कोर्ट में है और आपने आंदोलन चलाया, फिर बाद में आप ये कह रहे हैं कि भाई हमको कोर्ट में विश्वास है. तो ये तो स्टेटमेंट आप खुद देख लीजिए. आज अभी वो कह रहे हैं कि कोर्ट में मैटर है, लेकिन उस वक्त भी तो कोर्ट में मैटर था.
गौरव भाटिया, रिस्पॉन्ड टू दानिश कुरैशी.
Navika, these people are perpetual whiners and they will always be whining, crying. And the larger message that Mohan Bhagwat ji has given, I think there are three very profound, very strong messages. The first is he's emphasized on the unity of the country, which parties like the Muslimin, Asaduddin Owaisi, the Congress party, the self-proclaimed Muslim party, and other parties that indulge in communal politics will not like, because they are all about divisiveness, about spewing venom against the Hindu community. Second message, Mohan Bhagwat ji has very strongly spoken about the diversity, and he believes firmly in the fact that there has been a history, but India has to move forward and the diversity has to be respected. Now, they never expected such a statement coming from people like Mohan Bhagwat ji, because they have been tarnishing the image of RSS. Now, when he is spoken unequivocally for the country, for the unity of the country, they can't accept. And third, I think, is a tight slap on the face of Asaduddin Owaisi, who doesn't respect the court. Mohan Bhagwat ji has clearly said that respect the court of the country. Rahul Gandhi, who compared RSS to LET, also has a lot to answer, Navika.
Well, Lokesh Jindal, I want to ask you that middle of the road, a statement of consensus, a statement of calling for goodwill between communities, even that has this kind of a reaction? Where is the problem? Have we lost our sense of proportion, or do we just suspect everything anybody says?
Good evening, Navika. Don't think that this statement is something as if the soul of Nehru has entered Sri Mohan Bhagwat, nor can we consider this speech as an expression of BJP changing its stand of ethnic nationalism to civic nationalism. In fact, it is showing a stark reality. In 1980s, when BJP, RSS, it supported the Ram Janmabhoomi movement at that point of time, they were lawbreakers with only 2 seats in Lok Sabha. And now, BJP, which is ruling, they are the lawmakers. And this entire statement, what Mr. Bhagwat has stated, it has not diluted the Hindutva supremacy in any manner. In fact, the second tenure of BJP, it was nothing but RSS ideology into action. Abrogation of Article 370, Anti-Citizenship Amendment Act, Project Central Vista, Ram Temple at Ayodhya, and it opened a Pandora's box. And different strands of radical Hindutva expression started mushrooming all over the country. The Dharma Sansad, BJP, Bajrang Dal, there was lynching, Hindu-Muslim riots, and now there is another exodus of Kashmiri Pandits, but the government is simply unable to control the situation. There is no law and order. And RSS is very much conscious of what it has done and what is happening in the country. So what it has done is, it is playing a balancing act. It is trying to act Nehru, but still look at the statement.
Is playing a balancing act, a crime in this country? No. If Nehru says, whatever Nehruji said should be taken in good faith, but whatever Mohan Bhagwat says should not be taken in good faith, which constitution says this? Number one. Number two, my question to you, Mr. Jindal, is that in 1991, the BJP had made it very clear that it is not just the Ram Janmabhoomi, there are issues of Kashi and Mathura which should also be tackled, and the Places of Worship Act should be cognizant of these two big demands. Why can't I ask you the question? Why can't I ask you the question that if you had heeded to that in 1991, maybe this kind of feeling would not have festered over the last 20 years, or rather 30 years.
In 1991, BJP was simply spreading hatred all over the country. They were against the constitutional ethos. And now suddenly they are talking about constitution, they are talking about law, they are talking about unity in diversity, but still the flavor of supremacy does not go. What does he say in his statement? That we have 33 crore gods, we can accommodate one more, still assimilation. Look at the second statement. They say that all the Muslims, their ancestors were Hindus. And the third statement is what? That Muslims, they must consider Ashfaqullah Khan, Ibrahim Khan Gardi as their role model. But he fails to call upon Akbar or any other Muslim ruler, because the point is, the expression is still, the face is still the supremacy of Hindus, trying to create a narration of Hindu Rashtra.
But supremacy of the Hindus is something the Congress has a problem with. Gaurav Bhatia, I'm coming. Let me do one round with everybody and then I'm coming to you. Dr. Anand Ranganathan. Supremacy of the Hindus is something the Congress is allergic to. But appeasement of the Muslims, that is all right. And they are talking about the constitution not being followed. 1 minute, Lokesh Jindal, you've had your say. You are talking about the constitution not being followed by the BJP. ये बात कर रहे हैं? 1975 भूल गए? Constitution? Dr. Anand Ranganathan, respond to Lokesh Jindal.
Good evening, Navika, and good evening to all my esteemed panelists. It's a very serious topic that we've raised, and I think it requires a little bit of going into philosophical bent of mind, if I may, to answer this, because I have to say this, that I profoundly disagree with Dr. Mohan Bhagwat on his statement, I look for shivling in every mosque. I'm sorry, but I find his statement flippant, frivolous, and an insult to all those who seek to legally correct historical injustices. I know I would be pilloried for this in many quarters, and many would say, "Tu kaun hai bhai?" एक संघी को हिंदुइज्म
I as a Darwinian atheist have no right to intervene. I don't have a skin in the game, as they say. But I assert that this is not a Hindu issue or a Muslim issue or a religious issue. Looking for shivling, reclaiming demolished, destroyed places of worship, correcting historical injustices, Navika, is an Indian issue. It is a civilizational issue. And to me, the mark of a civilization is this unquenchable thirst of man to demand justice for his ancestors, to correct the historical wrong. For that exemplifies the continuity and identity that can never be erased, that is worth fighting for and preserving. It makes justice greater than the sum of its parts. And that is why a civilization is fleeting like empire. To demand justice for a people who are dead for hundreds of years is almost as though you can feel their pain, their suffering, their destruction that has transcended the limits of body and time. And that is why the medicine, why catharsis is a cure. And today, when I see Hindus wishing to reclaim Kashi Vishwanath or Mathura, I see this as a catharsis, as a deliverance of justice to my ancestors who were wrong. I do not know, Navika, how long it would take, what shape the reclaimed temples would take. I do not know when they would be ultimately coming up. In a way, being an atheist, these issues. But I know for a fact that today, seeing Hindus fight for their rights, the deliverance has come. It is confounding to me because I am but a bunch of cells, here today, gone tomorrow. But till the time I'm alive, this concept of striving to correct historical injustice is vital for me. It defines who I am. What part of that cannot erase my civilization. The concept of justice, Navika, is like memory. It keeps getting passed on until realized. And we have to realize it. Navika, just 20 seconds. The historian Sri Sitaram Goyal has meticulously tabulated 1862 mosques that are built upon demolished temples. According to historian lawyer J.Sai Deepak, this number may be as high as 40,000. And that is why we need to look for each and every shivling, wherever it is, hidden underground or over it, inside a mosque or outside it. We owe it to our ancestors. We owe it to justice.
But Dr. Anand Ranganathan, while I agree the sentiment, the emotion of a Hindu on the mandirs and bringing them back because they were damaged, but the fact of the matter is it has to stop somewhere. It has to stop somewhere.
Yes.
I mean, that's the reasonable position to take, and that's what Mohan Bhagwat has taken. But I mean, you are angry with Mohan Bhagwat because you say he's taken away the rights of the Hindus to ask for every single temple to be returned, whereas Shoaib Jamai, person like Shoaib Jamai is upset कि भाई ये जो बोल रहे हैं ये तो करेंगे ही नहीं.
Navika, that's why I just need 10 seconds to complete before Shoaib Bhai can come in. Shoaib Bhai, can I have your permission?
Yes.
Shoaib Bhai, can I please have?
Yes, go on.
As I said, thank you, Shoaib Bhai. Navika, as I emphasized, I am a Darwinian atheist. I am not a Hindu. This is not a Hindu issue. How can I prevent someone from legally going to the court to ask for a historical injustice to be corrected? And I've said this before, I say it again. If Shoaib Jamai, my friend, my brother Muslim, feels that a mosque needs to be reclaimed, that a temple has been built over it, I will go with him to the Supreme Court to demand that the mosque be reclaimed, that historical injustice be corrected. This is not a religious issue. This is an Indian issue. This is a civilizational issue.
Shoaib Jamai, respond. It's a very deep philosophical point being made by Dr. Anand Ranganathan.
Navika, initially I make up my mind to criticize RSS Pramukh, but now I'm in a dilemma. I feel sympathy for Mohan Bhagwat ji because now I have to support him. The most criticism has done by Anand Ranganathan itself. And I believe the Hindus itself criticizing Mohan Bhagwat ji. So it's a very awkward decision for me tonight to either to support him or to criticize him. Right. But the thing is that I believe that these statements are very hollow and it's an attempt for an image makeover for what was the debacle and all those historical past of the RSS, of the goons, Hindutva ideological goons, what they have done in India. So this is an attempt of the makeover. And the very important thing, Navika, because I have come to your show after a long time in this 9 p.m. show, as Mohan Bhagwat ji is seems to be very secular and respecting the sentiments of every faith, I believe he also respects the sentiment of the Muslim. In your own show, 1 week ago, a spokesperson from BJP, Nupur Sharma, has commented very blasphemous statement against our prophet. अब हंगामा मच गया पूरे देश में, FIR भी हो गई. मैं सिर्फ इतना आदर से रिस्पेक्ट से पूछना चाहता हूं, क्योंकि आप बड़े जिम्मेदार पत्रकार हैं, क्या आप उनके स्टेटमेंट को कंडेम करती हैं? बीजेपी उस पर कार्रवाई करेगी? और एज ए चैनल, क्योंकि आपके शो में हुआ, आप उसको रोक नहीं पाए, क्या आज डू यू फील रिग्रेट अबाउट दैट? अगर आप ये कह रहे हैं
इस पर आपने सवाल उठाया, तो आई हैव नो प्रॉब्लम इन टेलिंग यू दैट इन अ लाइव डिबेट, when people say something, it is a live debate. I have no way of censoring anybody, and you should know, you have said so many objectionable things. I have on many occasions even stopped you. And that day also I intervened and I told Nupur Sharma that don't say hurtful things. You know, she mentioned certain things which were mentioned in the Quran, but I still said, and I appealed to her that we should not say hurtful things to each other, because this is a civilized debate and we should pick up issues. But do not forget that she throughout the program continued to say that people were insulting the Hindus and they should not do so by calling it a fountain and refusing to call it a shivling. If anything, you should have said court will decide whether it's a shivling or a fountain. I have no problem with that. But to point fingers at Nupur Sharma or me, go ahead, be my guest. FIRs are all over the place. Now the matter will go to the courts. Let the courts take a call. Let the courts take a call. And frankly, I'm nobody to give a verdict on it. But Gaurav Bhatia, I want to ask you, you know, why are people diverting from the issue of Mohan Bhagwat ji? Why do they only remember a certain hard line that is taken, but when somebody is talking about a centrist principle, a principle of Lakshman Rekha, usko koi tawajjo hi nahi de raha, nobody is giving any attention or importance to that? Why? What's the vested interest?
Navika, I will come to the point that has been made so far from the Congress sympathizer, but let me say this with some responsibility. Since an issue has been raised about a colleague of mine, also a fellow spokesperson, we need to understand, either Shoaib Jamai and other Muslims should come out and say that what Nupur Sharma has said is not true and is false. They should deny it because it is written in the hadiths, and when it is part of that, I think speaking truth cannot be an offense, it cannot be something which is wrong. But still I would say, when these people come out and they call a shivling, which is revered by us, a fountain, it is equally hurting and disgusting. So if you expect that others should respect your sentiment, you also respect the sentiments of the Hindu community till the verdict is given by the court. Now coming to the point that you made. Navika, if Mohan Bhagwat ji has shown that the RSS ideology is tolerant, the BJP is tolerant and Hinduism is tolerant, it is this tolerance that the Congress party and other venom-spewing persons and organizations fear, because all this while they were spreading a propaganda that, you know, the ideology is divisive. But today Rahul Gandhi and Congress party is closer to Lashkar-e-Taiba, not the RSS as Rahul Gandhi had told, as revealed by WikiLeaks. Please be quiet. Don't speak in between. Navika, please ask him to be quiet.
Look, Jindal, I'll give you time to rebut, as I will give Shoaib.
You may be enjoying, you may not be enjoying, I hardly care.
Let's not interrupt each other. I'll give everybody a time to speak and rebut.
I cannot beat you on that.
Gaurav Bhatia first.
Yes. You know, second, I am aghast, I am shocked. If Mohan Bhagwat ji and the RSS makes a statement which is inclusive, Navika, which says that we have many gods and we can accommodate the belief of another community and have one more god. That is all about inclusivity. They are condemning such a statement. But if they say there is only one God and no other God, and we will eliminate all the kafirs, that is commendable because they are a Muslim party. Second, have you ever seen a Congress spokesperson participating in a debate related to the Gyanvapi Mandir? No, they will not even send their official spokespersons. Even on Yasin Malik, given life imprisonment, the Congress party did not even dare to send their official spokesperson. Do you know why? Because they want to appease a particular community and they don't care about the Hindus, and they can coin the term Hindu terror. And last but not the least, respect for the Constitution. Uniform Civil Code, they will not utter a word. Article 370, though temporary, not abrogated by them, done by Narendra Modi ji. And superseding senior most Supreme Court judges just to have a CGI which will follow their diktats. That is the respect they have for the Constitution. And then they dare to criticize Mohan Bhagwat ji, who's talking about the Constitution and the cause of the country.
Secondly,
please don't speak in between. Shameless fellow, don't speak in between. Have respect. Have respect.
You know, let's not get so personal.
Did Rahul Gandhi comment on the Gyanvapi Mandir issue?
Make some statements, and it is the anchor and the channel which gets into trouble. Let's not use unparliamentary language, please. Please, my friends. Please, my friends. I beseech you.
The only problem these people have is they don't even send their official spokespersons, and Dehadi ke sympathizer aake chillane lagte hain. Is this the kind of debates we'll have? You may have a divergent view, but you should wait to filter.
Let's not look down upon people. Let's not look down upon people. 1 minute. We are digressing from the issue. My issue here is that when Mohan Bhagwat ji says something, we find fault with it when it is a middle of the road. What he did earlier, what the RSS did earlier, we can all bring that up, fair enough. We can. But I'm saying कि हमारा तो धर्म, हमारी संस्कृति हमको सिखाती है कि सुबह का बूला शाम को घर आता है तो उसे बूला नहीं कहते, और अगर वो जोड़ने की बात कर रहे हैं तो इसमें दिक्कत क्या है? What is the reservation? I don't understand that reservation that is being expressed by people. And he says मिल बैठकर फैसला कर लो if you can come to a consensus. Anand Ranganathan, where is the problem with that? And he says if it doesn't get solved in consensus, then go to court and listen to the court. Where is the problem?
Yes. No, as I said, Navika, please give me a minute to explain. It's fairly complicated as it happens, because these people in the panels below, starting from my good friend Mr. Jindal, have been shocked by the rather conciliatory statement, as you call it, middle of the path statement. I disagree with him, but that's the fact is surprised at this statement, because this statement might as well have been coming from a Congress leader or an AIMIM leader.
Because ultimately what Mr. Bhagwat is saying is that let us just concentrate on what we have. Let's not talk about those, as I said, 40,000 temples that have been demolished and mosques built on them. It's a conciliatory middle ground statement. I disagree with it. As an Indian,
it is amusing that someone like Mr. Jindal disagrees with it, because this is something exactly that would come from a congressman's mouth. So this is why they have been taken off guard. They do not know how to react, because they are carrying agenda. Mr. Jindal will not react like I have. He doesn't want. Don't interrupt.
Under these words, there is the inherent ideology of a Hindu supremacy.
Well, Mr. Jindal, you can't be interrupting everybody, Mr. Jindal. Come on, hold on.
Give me some time.
Yes, I will. I will. If you stop interrupting people, I will give you time. Anand, finish your point.
Yes, as I was saying, I gave ample examples that I am here to fight legally to correct historical injustices. Religion agnostic. These people don't want that, Navika. They want only historical injustices against the Muslims or non-Hindus to be corrected. They don't want the historical injustice against Hindus to be corrected. This is their problem. इनको समझ में नहीं आ रहा आप कहें क्या, बिकॉज जो स्टेटमेंट डॉक्टर मोहन भागवत ने कही है वो इनकी स्टेटमेंट है.
Well, Lokesh Jindal, I want to ask you, actually Anand is right. You don't know what to say, how to criticize, because you've made up your mind. Your agenda is to criticize the BJP and the RSS. So regardless of what they say, अगर वो sensible बात भी कहें तो आपको तो उसकी मुखालफत करनी है ना, आपका तो धर्म ही वही है.
See, first of all, if we look at the statement that Mr. Bhagwat has given, he says that we have 33 crore gods, we can have few more. That entire statement is an expression of assimilation, assimilating a religion. I mean, he's not talking about a mutual respect, peaceful coexistence and tolerance. What he says is assimilation into the grand Hindutva fold. Secondly, when he talks about the ancestors of Muslims being Hindus, rishis, munis, rajas, what does he mean to say? When he says that the DNA of the Muslims are basically Hindus, which is fair, it is archaeological, he's historically wrong. And that has no basis to it. Now, don't tell me that suddenly Mr. Bhagwat,
I don't know, Lokesh Jindal ji, where you read your history, but the fact is, Islam बाहर से आया था, आक्रामकों के हाथों आया था, उस आक्रमण में भारत की स्वतंत्रता चाहने वाले व्यक्तियों का मनोबल तोड़ने के लिए देवस्थान तोड़े गए थे, हजारों हैं, ये मामले उठते हैं. There is no lie in this. And then he says, अब हमें आंदोलन नहीं करना है, लेकिन मन में मुद्दे उठते हैं. ये किसी के विरुद्ध नहीं है, मुसलमानों को विरुद्ध नहीं मानना चाहिए, हिंदुओं को भी नहीं मानना चाहिए. अच्छी बात है, ऐसा कुछ है तो आपस में मिल बैठकर सहमति से कोई रास्ता निकाले, लेकिन हर बार नहीं निकल सकता तो कोर्ट जाते हैं, तो जो कोर्ट फैसला देता है उसको मानना चाहिए. इसमें गलत क्या है शोएब जमाई जी, मुझे समझा दीजिए. मुझे इसमें एक लफ्ज भी गलत नहीं लग रहा. No, Lokesh Jindal, I'm putting down your fader because you want to speak all the 35 minutes of the debate and that's not possible and it's not fair. Shoaib Jamai.
देखिए नाविका जी, भाई हम तो इस्लाम में हमारा फेथ है, कलमा ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह पढ़ते हैं, मुझे इस पर गर्व है, फक्र है और मैं शुक्र अदा करता हूं कि खुदा ने हमें यहाँ से ईमान वाला बनाया. कौन कह रहा है कि शर्मिंदा होकर पढ़िए? आप बिल्कुल गर्व से इस्लाम फॉलो करिए. कौन कह रहा है? यकीनन सुनिए, तो फिर सुनिए, इस बात को बार बार दोहराना कि इतिहास में क्या था नहीं था, अरे इतिहास में क्या था तो फिर बाबा आदम के जमाने में जाएंगे तो सर्च कर लीजिए, आप भी मुसलमान थे. हमारे आस्था के हिसाब से जितने बच्चे पैदा होते हैं सब मुसलमान होते हैं, बाद में फिर वो अलग अलग धर्म अपना लेते हैं, तो आप मानेंगे हमारी इस बात को. लेकिन
आप अगर कोई तथ्य दिखा दें, इफ यू हैव एनी फैक्ट्स एट योर कमांड, people may want to consider it, but if you're going to talk in the air, nobody is. But if you are saying that you are sensitive about Islam, I completely am sensitive to that and I appreciate it, but I'm saying बार-बार जो fountain कहते हैं और कहते हैं ये fountain ही है, वो ये क्यों नहीं कहते that this is something that is now going to be decided by the courts? Why don't they say that? Whether it is a shivling or a fountain, let the court decide. But they will continue to call it fountain. तो वो हिंदुओं को upset नहीं करेगा? नहीं करेगा? उनकी sensitivity नहीं है.
Allow me, please.
नाविका जी, I feel pity to the BJP spokesperson. He is justifying the act of Nupur Sharma, and in mark of protest, I am leaving this show, and I am challenging Bharatiya Janata Party that you are spurring violence in the country, and you are spurring unrest in the country with your such horrible statements.
Let's not say get out and all, Gaurav Bhatia ji. You want an answer? You want an answer? अरे जवाब तो सुनते जाइए. शोएब जमाई जी, जवाब तो सुनते जाइए, शायद मिडल ऑफ द रोड जवाब हो. वेल, गौरव भाटिया, रिस्पॉन्ड.
You know, Navika, it's really painful to see the kind of intolerance that we have to tolerate every day. What did I say? I will first address this issue. इनकी फीलिंग्स हैं, हमारी फीलिंग्स कुछ भी नहीं है. ये बैठ के फुव्वारा करते रहे तो ये ठीक है, और हम कहें आपकी हदीत में लिखा है, वो बात कही है नूपुर शर्मा ने, तो हम इनकी फीलिंग्स हर्ट कर रहे हैं. I will be the first one to apologize if factually what has been stated is not correct. But good that he has left, because they can't even hear what is written in their religious texts. Now coming to the second point. Navika, the Congress sympathizer, said that because Mohan Bhagwat ji has said there is accommodation for other gods, he is wrong and he is insinuating something. He is not showing mutual respect and tolerance. जब कहा जाता है कि काफिरों को मार दो, जब कहा जाता है कि हिंदू टेरर, is that mutual respect and tolerance? And I want to ask him, when Ashok Gehlot, who is a constitutional functionary, says Gyanvapi Mandir is a tamasha band karo, when Owaisi says it is a fuvara, are they showing respect to the majority community? The answer is simple, no they aren't. And that is why their double standards and hypocrisy is evident. My last point is, Anand ji said that Mohan Bhagwat ji ka ek statement hai, he doesn't agree. Anand bhai, Mohan Bhagwat ji ki tarah, you are equally a citizen of this country. What Mohan Bhagwat ji has said has great persuasive value, and millions of Hindus and even non-Hindus believe in him. But that does not take away a right that has been conferred by the constitution upon the citizen to move the court. Mohan Bhagwat ji never said that. So that right is rightly available to all, and it is not a mandamus of the Supreme Court. It is words and sentence of a leader who is well respected in the country and abroad, and it doesn't take away from the right of a citizen to move the court.
Well said. So Danish Qureshi, my question to you is, Mr. Owaisi even talks about Antony. I'm coming to you, Anand. Mr. Qureshi, Antony Blinken ka hawala diya ja raha hai. Now I want to ask you, are we now going to run our country on the basis of what Mr. Blinken says? Do you know, and have you ever questioned the fact that how many shootouts have happened in the US in the last 2 or 3 weeks? Can you tell us that they can't control their own gun-toting policy and people going out and killing kindergarten students, in dozens? And you're giving the hawala of Antony Blinken just because it suits you? I just want to ask you, India is not in a position today to be dictated by anybody, least of all the Americans. And their record on human rights violations is something that Mr. Owaisi, who's a well-read man, who's a barrister, should know. I want to ask you, why does Mr. Mohan Bhagwat's statement irk him so much that he has to put out 17 tweets? Does it take away the right of Mr. Owaisi to incite Muslims if Hindus were to take the middle path suggested by Mohan Bhagwat ji? Is that the problem?
Okay. My first question to Mr. Bhatia ji, that either the statement of Mr. Bhagwat, are they BJP is going to follow that? Are the Prime Minister is going to give a statement that Places of Worship Act 1919 will be applied? Because till today no statement has come from PMO regarding Gyanvapi, Mathura and number of petitions which have been filed in the court. अब सवाल ये है कि अगर मोहन भागवत जी का स्टेटमेंट के साथ इनकी ही सुटेबिलिटी नहीं है, भारतीय जनता पार्टी की और उनकी, तो फिर बाकी लोगों को उसमें भरोसा रखना या विश्वास दिलाना वो कैसे मुनासिब है? तो बीजेपी खुद असमंजस में है. My question to Gaurav Bhatia that are they going to give backup to the 4 women, those who have filed the petition regarding Singar Gauri or not? Either they are going to follow the statement of Mohan Bhagwat ji, but problem is that the BJP is having a dual standard. First of all, they create the recast in the entire country.
You don't have a double standard, but BJP has a double standard. Anand Raghunathan, I need to come to you, but 30 seconds to Gaurav Bhatia to
why you are defending BJP, Navika? I think you are a biased anchor. So please conduct the program instead of defending the BJP, Navika.
आपने सवाल पूछा भाई, मैं उनसे जवाब लेकर आपको दे रही हूँ.
It's up to you.
नहीं, आपने सवाल पूछा, मैं उनको फोर्स कर रही हूँ कि आपको जवाब दे.
Done.
जी गौरव भाटिया जी, जवाब दीजिए दानिश कुरैशी जी को.
उनके पास कोई जवाब नहीं है, लाजवाब लोग हैं.
अब ये भी आप ही तय करेंगे. सवाल भी आप ही पूछेंगे, जवाब भी आप ही देंगे, तो फिर मेरी भी जरूरत नहीं है.
Can I respond?
Yes, गौरव भाटिया जी
दें जवाब. और क्या?
Yes. Navika, when Danish was speaking, I decided to remain quiet, giving him respect. But he also doesn't believe that he deserves to be respected. So he said that I don't have an answer. My answer is this. Please note it. You don't understand the constitution. You don't understand what the Prime Minister of the country speaks. You don't even understand what Mohan Bhagwat ji said.
Oh.
Where is the difference in what the BJP believes in and what Mohan Bhagwat ji said? As I pointed out, there are 3 facets to the statement. 1, respect the courts. The Bharatiya Janata Party has always respected the courts of the country and the judiciary. Second is unity.
Navika,
unity and diversity. We have always believed in sabka. Please don't speak in between. Please don't speak in between. Please. Unity and diversity is not a matter of slogan. We have followed it in the last 8 years. Sabka saath, sabka vikas, sabka prayas, sabka vishwas. And on the Gyanvapi issue, did you hear Mohan Bhagwat say that the petition that has been filed by other citizens, and it is their right, should not be pursued? Places of Worship Act, the same thing. When the matter is pending before the Honorable Supreme Court,
last word,
why do you feel that Mohan Bhagwat's statement is contrary to the proceeding?
For a long time, even before Mr. Shoaib Jamai decided to leave the debate. वो है नहीं, but I'm sure he'll watch the video of the debate.
देख रहे वो देख रहे.
नाविका, मैं बहुत छोटा सा पॉइंट यहाँ ऐड करना चाहता हूँ. मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि मोहन भागवत जी इज एब्सोल्युटली राइट व्हेन ही सेज कि हिंदूज और मुस्लिम्स का डीएनए सेम है. अरे भाई, हमारा डीएनए 99.97% सिमिलर टू इवन लूसी अवर फर्स्ट एंसेस्टर. बात वो नहीं है. बात ये है कि एकदम ठीक कह रहे हैं वो कि 1-2 जनरेशन में सुशील से सोहेल हो गए, दिनेश से दानिश हो गए. पर मोहन भागवत जी ये बार बार बात क्यों कह रहे हैं? मैं बताना उनको चाहता हूं कि ये कहने का कोई, वो चाहते हैं कि इससे भाईचारा बढ़ेगा. वो ये समझ नहीं रहे हैं. या आई एम नॉट बीइंग, इफ आई एम बीइंग पैट्रोनाइजिंग, आई अपोलोजाइज टू हिम, बट ही मस्ट अंडरस्टैंड दैट द अदर पीपल आर एक्सक्लूसिविस्ट, सुप्रीमेसिस्ट. दे डोंट बिलीव इन एनी अदर गॉड. Hindus are the worst of creatures, and he must read Naipaul, who says that the converted are more Catholic than the Pope. तो ये जो कह रहे हैं ना, एक साथ भाईचारे में मिल के सॉल्व कर लेंगे, ये नहीं होने वाला है. प्लीज मिस्टर भागवत, डॉक्टर भागवत, the only solution is legal.
The jury is out on that. But if somebody comes out and appeals for people to sit together and find a solution rather than adopting a confrontational approach, why is that statement creating such a divide is something I just can't understand or appreciate. I don't know where the viewers stand on this. Take your position. Should the middle path be an issue of debate and condemnation? Think about it. Where are we headed? Thank you very much to my panelists for joining me on debate number 1. On the other side, the big Kashmir debate in the last 4 days, there have been 3 attacks on Hindus in Kashmir. Non-locals, Kashmiri Hindus and the community seem to have a target on their backs. Pakistan-backed terrorists are hunting them down and murdering them in cold blood. The killings have sent alarm bells ringing, not just among the people living there, but also in the corridors of power of this country. Many Hindu families are looking to leave the valley, triggering a fear of another exodus. And that prompted the Union Home Minister, the LG of Jammu and Kashmir and the National Security Advisor to sit and hold a meeting to evolve a strategy to thwart these terrorists from striking at will. Sources have told Times Now that a comprehensive plan is now in place. Increase in security and intel on the ground in the valley, and an assurance to every single person there on the ground that their lives are valued, with the government trying to do everything in its power to keep them safe. But even as the meeting was going on here in the national capital, the community in Kashmir kept up the protest. Listen in to the palpable fear and panic there.
हमारी डिमांड यही है कि हमें अपने एरिया में एडजस्ट किया जाए, और जब तक वहाँ हालात साजगार नहीं होते, जब तक हमारा कोई आर्डर नहीं निकलता है, हमें यहाँ ही कहीं पे एडजस्टमेंट कर से हमें काम लिया जाए, जिससे कि हम अपनी जॉब को कंटिन्यू रख सकें।
हम वापस नहीं जाएंगे। हमने डिमांड रखी है कि हमें अपने होम डिस्ट्रिक्ट दिया जाए। हम 10 डिस्ट्रिक्टों से, जम्मू के डिवीज़न के 10 डिस्ट्रिक्टों से, अलग अलग डिस्ट्रिक्टों से बिलोंग करते हैं, और हमारा एम्प्लॉई ईजी से गवर्नमेंट इन डिस्ट्रिक्टों में, होम डिस्ट्रिक्टों में जे एडजस्ट भी कर सकता है।
सर, मुझे नहीं लगता कि कश्मीर में कोई भी ऐसी जगह रही है अब जो जिसको हम सेफ घोषित करेंगे। एक तहसील ऑफिस में जाकर एक भट्ट साहब को गोली मार दी जाती है, बैंक मैनेजर को कल ही आपने देखा होगा किस तरह से आकर शूट कर दिया गया। कौन सी प्लेस हमारे लिए सेफ है सर? हम अभी भी रेंटेड एकोमोडेशन में रह रहे हैं, हमें यहाँ सिक्योरिटी नहीं चाहिए सर, हमें अपने होम डिस्ट्रिक्ट में वापस भेज दिया जाए सर।
And joining me on the debate, of course, Gaurav Bhatia continues to be with us. Majid Haidri, political analyst. Zishan Rana, spokesperson of the National Conference. Dr. Shantanu Sen, member of Parliament of the Trinamool Congress. But my first question goes to Sushil Pandit, activist. Sushil Pandit, the palpable fear is evident and understandable. What do you think is the solution? Mr. Pandit? Seem to have lost his audio there. Zishan Rana, why don't you take that question?
It's absolutely distressing to see how people are being, innocent people are being targeted and killed. In the last 3 months, more than 18 people have lost their lives, and no accountability has been fixed so far by the government, and this shows that how this dispensation has failed us. Though I would say that Modi government has a long list of failures and failed and broken promises, but for me, unable to bring back normalcy in Jammu and Kashmir post August 2019 tops the list. I think Kashmir has become a laboratory and a testing ground for everybody. This is the right time that government of India should re-look at its policy on Kashmir, because what I feel is that Modi's policy on Kashmir is a total failure. And
all right, Dr. Shantanu Sen, Dr. Shantanu Sen, you know, isn't it a little hypocritical for Mr. Zishan Rana to question accountability when for 32 years the powers that be in the 1990s and the late 80s had no accountability for the genocide of 1990. You know, they are demanding accountability today. Are they carrying clear conscience while the issue in Jammu and Kashmir is something that Gaurav Bhatia and his party will have to respond to? But Zishan Khan raising these questions, hypocritical? Dr. Shantanu said.
Navika, while talking on this Kashmir issue, I must remind all the viewers through you that the exorbitant price hike is the issue of the country nowadays, number one. Number two, the main problem is communal disharmony is a major trump card for BJP to grab the power. Let me cite you an example. There was a question placed on Rajya Sabha dated 11 May 2022, and in reply to that question it has been mentioned officially that since abrogation of this 370 in 2090, 14 Kashmiri Pandits were killed. And let me cite you another example. It is a report of 1st May 2022. It was reported in a very leading newspaper that in this year, 62 militants killed and 15 of them happened to be foreign militants. While abrogating this 370, it was assured that these atrocities and this terrorist activities will be downsized. But what we find? We find that it has increased like anything. 5th August 2019 to 26 January 2022, 541 terror incidents, 439 terrorists were killed, 98 civilians died, and 109 security forces died. This is what has happened since abrogation
tell
of
the story,
370.
Mr. Gaurav Bhatia, and the country is
yes,
today asking questions. What happened to the promise of security for Kashmiri Pandits? We were talking about their return. The very few ones who are there, even they are not safe. Gaurav Bhatia.
Navika, this is the hypocrisy and the communal politics that is done by TMC, Congress, NC sitting here. And I first wish to come to the point which is far bigger than the cheap and petty politics that they do. What are the priorities of the government? And I'll then give the statistics also. But today, I know that every citizen of the country, and especially the Kashmiris, they respect, they revere the Prime Minister and the Home Minister. They are wanting, please ask him to be quiet, it disturbs everyone. But these people don't understand, Navika.
Go on, make your point.
They can't even discuss an issue of sensitivity. Can I complete my point? I only have 3 things to say. 1, Shri Narendra Modi ji, Shri Amit Shah ji will leave no stone unturned to ensure that every Kashmiri, especially the Hindus who are in minority there, the Sikhs, are protected at any cost, at any cost. Second, 94 terrorists have been gunned down this year itself, and we have to ensure that every one of them is gunned down and is given a punishment that it sets a precedence for others too. And third and most importantly, every member of the Bharatiya Janata Party and citizen stands with them. If we have to teach a lesson to Pakistan which is spreading terrorism, that will also be done. And in this hour, when the nation is facing this serious issue,
is that something that gives you confidence, given the fact that Rahul Bhatt, Vijay, I'm coming because you'll have to answer some questions from Sushil Pandit also, I'm sure. So I'll come back to you.
I will, but I wanted to complete my point, but you go ahead. Yes.
Okay, Sushil Pandit. You know, the words of intent, very well taken from Gaurav Bhatia. But does that give any confidence to those who are on the ground and who are being targeted and killed? From Rahul Bhatt to Amreen Bhatt to Vijay Kumar to so many others.
Navika, the tragedy is that there is a huge gap between promise and delivery. We all thought that 370 was the first decisive step, and now a series of steps would follow to retrieve Kashmir from jihad's jaws. Unfortunately, this government seems to have treated abrogation of 370 as the only step, the last step. And in fact, even if that were the case, we would have perhaps, borne it with patience. They have gone a couple of steps back after that. They have restored some of the provisions of 370 through backdoor when they proclaimed what we call a domicile notification on the Gazette from the Home Ministry, very surreptitiously, which recreated those hurdles in the pursuit of bringing Jammu Kashmir closer to India and making it accessible to rest of India. A huge obstacle of 15 years has been created for rest of India because they can't do those 15 years of domicile in order to go and live there. There are no jobs for them, no land for them. This is a problem. Likewise, when they ban JKLF or Jamaat-e-Islami, they just proclaim a ban and then do no follow-up. Their institutions still run. Their cadres are still running around. Their effectiveness on ground is not curbed. There is no crackdown on their infrastructure and network. Even Ahle Hadith has not been banned. Jamiyat-e-Tulba, which is the youth wing of Jamaat-e-Islami, has not been banned.
These questions are pertinent. Assurances
still is not banned, Navika. Can you imagine?
Assurances are very well, but the fact of the matter is those who are on the ground and have a target on their backs, assurances don't protect them. What's the solution?
Navika, what Sushil ji said, I share his concern, but let me respond by, a very strong reply. I just want to tell him that Article 370 is definitely a historic milestone decision, but it is not the destination that we are looking for. And Sushil ji, when you say this government has abrogated Article 370, but it is superfluous. Let me tell you, it is this government that has ensured that Yasin Malik is behind bars facing life imprisonment, Bitta Karate behind bars. It is this government that has ensured that after 1952, for the first time, tricolor was unfurled at the Secretariat. It is this government that
then why are Rahul Bhatts dying? That is the question that continues to haunt us all. Why are Rahul Bhatts dying? Why are Vijay Kumars dying?
Because that remains
I'm completely out of time. I'm completely out of time because Gaurav Bhatia, yes, the question is about looking at the glass half empty or half full. But the fact is, human life is what is at stake. And those who want normalcy will also have to ensure safety for those who live in Kashmir. That is the bottom line. Thank you very much to my panelists for joining me on the Newshour tonight. Good night, be safe, take care, and I'll see you on Monday.
The News Hour at 9 will be right back after the break. Times now. Action begins here. News Hour at 9. You were watching the News Hour at 9. Stay tuned.
25
Times now. Action begins here.
क्या पूछूं आपसे कि आपका जो स्टे था कांग्रेस पार्टी में, ये शॉर्ट एंड स्वीट था कि हॉट एंड सावर था?
जब राजनीति में कोई फैसले होते हैं मैडम जी, तब एक बात बहुत तय होती है कि लोगों के हित के लिए, जनता की सेवा के लिए ये फैसला होना चाहिए, और उसी को देखते हुए ये फैसला लिया गया था। लेकिन जहां गए, जिस कांग्रेस पार्टी पर भरोसा किया, उनके नेताओं पर जो भरोसा किया, उससे एक बात तो तय हो गई थी कि ना ये जन सेवा करना चाहते हो, ना कोई करता है उसको रोकने का काम करते हैं। जो जन सेवा करना चाहता है उसको रोक दो, हम नहीं करना चाहते तो हमारे साथ जुड़ जाओ। और ये काम हम नहीं कर सकते थे। हम आंदोलन के जरिए निकले थे, लोगों ने हम पर उम्मीद देखी थी, हम पर भरोसा किया था, और हमने
Good evening and welcome. You are watching News Hour Agendas, India's most loved primetime show at 10. I'm Padmaja, Joshi. Speaking yesterday at the concluding session of an RSS training camp, RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat gave the most significant message on the temple movement that seems to have the country in its throes in the recent times. While most people focused on his advice to not look for a shivling everywhere and triumphantly declared that this would put an end to every demand, every call for reclamation of Hindu heritage, there are other important parts of his speech that also deserve a mention. A speech where he basically gave a message of unity, where he sought for restoration of articles of faith, but never at the cost of law.
इतिहास हमने नहीं बनाया, न आज के अपने आप को हिंदू कहलाने वालों ने बनाया, न आज के मुसलमानों ने बनाया। उस समय घटा, इस्लाम बाहर से आया, आक्रमकों के हाथ आया। उस आक्रमण में भारत की स्वतंत्रता चाहने वाले व्यक्तियों का मनोधैर्य खच्चे करने के लिए देवस्थान तोड़े गए। हिंदू समाज का विशेष ध्यान जिन पर है, विशेष श्रद्धा जिनके बारे में ऐसे कुछ है, उसके बारे में मामले उठते हैं। ज्ञानवापी के बारे में हमारी कुछ श्रद्धाएं हैं, परंपरा से चलती आई, हम कर रहे हैं, ठीक है, लेकिन रोज एक मामला निकालना नया, ये भी नहीं करना चाहिए। हमको झगड़ा क्यों बढ़ाना है? और ठीक है, प्रतीकात्मक कुछ हमारी विशेष श्रद्धा थी, ऐसे स्थानों के बारे में हमने कहा, परंतु हर मस्जिद में शिवलिंग क्यों देखना? हम तो कुछ नहीं कहते। हमने 9 नवंबर को कह दिया कि एक राम जन्मभूमि का आंदोलन था, जिसमें हम अपने प्रकृति के विरुद्ध किसी ऐतिहासिक कारण से उस समय की परिस्थिति में सम्मिलित हुए। हमने उस काम को पूरा किया। अब हमको कोई आंदोलन वगैरह करना नहीं है। आपस में मिल बैठकर सहमति से कोई रास्ता निकालिए, लेकिन हर बार नहीं निकल सकता। इसमें कोर्ट में जाते हैं तो फिर कोर्ट जो निर्णय देगा उसको मानना चाहिए।
But as you can imagine, this message was received with much cynicism for calling it empty rhetoric to a good cop, bad cop act. In fact, the AMIM chief, Sidhu Moosewala, went so far as to ask, who is Mohan Bhagwat to make any statement at all? It is the Prime Minister who should be speaking.
देखिए, मोहन भागवत जी को ये बात अपने लोगों को समझानी चाहिए। भारतीय जनता पार्टी का हर प्रवक्ता टीवी चैनल पे बैठ के ज्ञानवापी मंदिर में शिवलिंग है इस बात की वकालत कर रहा है। क्या मोहन भागवत जी ये बात नहीं जानते? और अगर जानते हैं तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी के नेताओं को समझाएं, आरएसएस के लोगों को समझाएं। सिर्फ बयान देने से कोई आप पे यकीन नहीं करेगा।
I hope he will stick to that statement. We are waiting for such a statement from any RSS or BJP corner. It is happening and happening. No responsible people responded. That is good that he responded, but I hope he will stick to that. Or he thinks if election nears, when election will be nearer, they will start again. They should not do that. If he is sincere, honest, I think he should stick to this comment for the future.
It is the drama of the RSS. Previously they told that only Ayodhya, Babri Masjid, the only our target. Now the Varanasi and another Madura. They are not interested in temple or civiling or Rama Janmabhoomi. They are interested in polarizing the public. The division between Hindus and other religions. That is the agenda.
जो लोग सुबह से शाम तक आरएसएस को, बीजेपी को, मोदी जी को पानी पी पी करके कोसते हैं, उनके लिए ये आईना है। अब दिक्कत ये है कि उनके चेहरे पर दाग लगा हुआ है, लेकिन वो आईना पोंछने की कोशिश करते हैं। और जो आक्रमणकारी हैं, उनके गुनाहों की गठरी की हिफाजत करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है। ऐसे ही जो गुनाहों की गठरी जिसके हर छेद से जुल्म और जुर्म की कहानी साफ दिखाई पड़ रही है। इसलिए मुझे लगता है जो लोग इस मुद्दे को लेकर के मिसलीड करने की कोशिश करते हैं, भ्रम और भय का माहौल पैदा करने की कोशिश करते हैं, उनके लिए ये एक आईना है।
मोहन भागवत जी ने समझदारी की बात की है, पर भाजपा की टोली ना समझ है। दुर्भाग्य तो इस बात का है कि उनके मुखिया समझदारी की बात करते हैं कैमरा पे, और भाजपा के जो पूरे टोली है जो समाज को एक समाज में सांप्रदायिकता का जहर फैलाना चाहती है, वो ही नहीं मोहन भागवत जी पे विश्वास करते। ये तो अब मोहन भागवत जी और भाजपा को इकट्ठा बैठ के एक सहमति बनानी चाहिए थी कि सत्य जो उनकी नियत नीति है वो है जो मोहन भागवत माइक और कैमरे पे बोलते हैं, या वो हैं जो भाजपा की टोली जमीन पे सांप्रदायिकता का जहर फैलाती।
It's a strange situation indeed. It's almost a catch-22 where you tell a person that you are supposed to be communal, you're supposed to be bigoted, but that person comes out and says, we do not want to take the law in our hands. We respect the law and we also have faith, but we will always take the road through the legal process. Then you tell him, this is a lie. You're playing good cop, bad cop. The simple question at the end of the day is, if there is an effort to try and meet people halfway and says, we have faith, we have a certain belief, we are respecting and worshipping certain gods, but for us the constitution is above all. Will that message be respected and reciprocated by everyone?
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Pankaj Sharma, leader of the Congress, joins us along with Pawan Rao Ambedkar, national spokesperson AIMIM, Atul Anjan, national secretary CPI, Harshvardhan Tripathi, senior journalist. सबसे पहले सवाल आपसे पूछूंगी, विनोद बंसल जी, नेशनल स्पोक्सपर्सन ऑफ विश्व हिंदू परिषद। अगर भागवत जी कह रहे हैं कि हर जगह शिवलिंग ढूंढना बंद कर दीजिए, तब तो फिर आपका सारा कैंपेन ही खत्म हो जाएगा।
नहीं पद्मजा जी, हमने कैंपेन कहाँ शुरू किया था? देखिए, आज तो गुरु अर्जन देव जी का जो बलिदान दिवस है, आपको स्मरण होगा कि अपना जहांगीर ने और गर्म तवे पर बिठा करके गर्म रेत से नहलाया था उनको, और अर्धमूर्छित अवस्था में उनको तवी में फेंक दिया था। ये वही मुगल है, उसी मुगल के वंशज जिन्होंने काशी को ध्वस्त किया था, उसी मुगल के वंशजों ने बाबरी को ध्वस्त किया, राम के मंदिर को ध्वस्त किया था, उसी वंशज ने हमारे अपने सोमनाथ मंदिर को भी ध्वस्त किया था, और उन्हीं मुगलों के साथ में आज सब लोग खड़े हुए हैं। कमाल की बात है। मैं कहना चाहता हूं, आप देखिए कि इस देश में आखिरकार हो क्या रहा है। वो मुगल और विदेशी आक्रांताओं के साथ खड़े होने वालों की कुछ फौज क्यों जनरेट हो रही है? आखिरकार उनके पूर्वज कौन थे, इनको पहचानने की उनको आवश्यकता नहीं।
पर सवाल आपसे इस वक्त ये है कि अगर सर संचालक कह रहे हैं कि आप हर जगह पर, ठीक है, आपको कोर्ट में आप गए हैं, केस कर रहे हैं, पर हर जगह पर शिवलिंग ढूंढना ठीक नहीं है। आप ये नहीं कह सकते कि अब हम ताजमहल में भी देखेंगे, अब हम कुतुब मीनार में भी देखेंगे, अब हम कर्नाटका में भी देखेंगे, हम केरला में भी देखेंगे। इससे माहौल बिगड़ रहा है।
नहीं पद्मजा जी, हम कहीं नहीं देखते। वो तो जो दिख रहा है उसके आंखें कैसे मींच सकता है कोई आदमी? उन्होंने यही तो कहा कि भाई हर मस्जिद के अंदर आप अपना शिवलिंग मत देखिए, लेकिन जहां दिख रहा है उसके लिए मना थोड़ी किया। उन्होंने कहा ना, काशी है, जो प्रमुख हमारे आस्था के केंद्र हैं, उन आस्था के केंद्रों को लूटा गया, तोड़ा गया, उनको खंडित किया गया, और ये सामने पूरे विश्व ने देखा है। आपके सुधी दर्शकों ने स्वयं आपके टीवी चैनल पर चिल्ला के जो सीन दिख रहे थे, कभी महाशिव का ज्योतिर्लिंग जो है सामने नजर आ रहा है।
तो अतुल अंजान जी, ये कहा जा रहा है कि हाँ हमें दिख रहा है।
आप देखिए वो वही लोग हैं जो कानपुर में नमाज पढ़ते के साथ ही दंगाई हो जाते हैं वो।
अच्छा,
आखिरकार वो नमाज
अभी उसको 2 सेकंड के लिए छोड़ते हैं। अतुल अंजान जी, अभी आई हर्ड अ सीपीएम लीडर से कि ये सिर्फ पोलराइजेशन के लिए कराया जा रहा है। अगर पोलराइजेशन के लिए कराया जा रहा होता तो मोहन भागवत कहते हम एक और आंदोलन करेंगे, हम एक और मूवमेंट करेंगे, अब हम एक रथ यात्रा करेंगे ज्ञानवापी के लिए, अब हम एक रथ यात्रा करेंगे कृष्ण जन्मभूमि के लिए। पर उन्होंने कहा नहीं, हम नहीं करेंगे। जिसको जाना है कोर्ट में जाए, कोर्ट से ही रास्ता होगा। आपको अगर न्याय चाहिए, हिस्टोरिकल राइट्स हैव टू बी, रॉन्ग्स हैव टू बी राइटेड, डू इट थ्रू द कोर्ट। तो पोलराइजेशन कैसे हुआ, ये बात समझ में नहीं आई। पोलराइजेशन में तो वो कहते हैं हाँ जी करेंगे हम।
संघ परिवार का तो कोई
पद्मजा जी, आपने बहुत अच्छी बात कही। देखिए, आप अभी सुन रहे हैं इन साहब को, ये अब जो है, ये जो है अब आरएसएस चीफ को भी कह रहे हैं, उनको क्या मतलब है कहने का, वो हमारे से कोई लेना देना नहीं है। ये एकदम आतंकी और उन्मादी तत्व हो गए हैं, इनको रोकना बड़ा मुश्किल काम है। ये समझ गए हैं,
सरसंघ चालक
ये मोहन भागवत जी समझ गए हैं। अरे भाई, जिन जगहों पर एक आध जगह ए भाई चुप रहो, बंसल, चुप रहो जरा, जब तक मैं बोल रहा हूं।
प्लीज शालीनता, प्लीज एक एक करके बात करेंगे। नहीं अतुल अंजान जी, ये तरीका सही नहीं है, ऐसे बात नहीं। आराम से दोनों लोग आराम से प्लीज। विनोद बंसल जी, आपको टाइम मिलेगा, प्लीज 1 मिनट का टाइम दीजिए अतुल अंजान जी को। पहले ये बात मैं साफ कर दूं, विनोद बंसल जी ने बोला कि सरसंचालक बोल रहे हैं कि हर जगह शिवलिंग ढूंढना जरूरी नहीं है, पर जहां दिख रहा है वहां हम कोर्ट के सामने जाएंगे, और हम कोर्ट के सामने गए, ये उन्होंने कहा। उन्होंने ये नहीं कहा कि कौन होते हैं वो हमें बोलने वाले। ये बात मैं साफ कर दूं, अब आप जवाब दीजिए अतुल अंजान।
उन्होंने कहा कि हर जगह ढूंढने की जरूरत नहीं है। यहां लोग एक्सकवेशन करते हुए घूम रहे हैं, एक्सकवेशन करते घूम रहे हैं, जो एक जगह आस्था का है, ठीक है। और अगर इतनी ज्यादा, मैं आज बहुत सोच करके पद्मजा जी कह रहा हूं कि अगर ये सारी जगहें आपको विवादास्पद लगती हैं, सरकार आपकी है, एक दिन ताजमहल गिरा दीजिए।
क्यों?
एक दिन जो है तय करके कुतुब मीनार गिरा दीजिए।
पर क्यों?
लखनऊ का
जो
भुलैया गिरा दीजिए,
जो जेपी नड्डा ने कहा, जो मोहन भागवत ने कहा, इज द एग्जैक्ट ऑपोजिट ऑफ जो कह रहे हैं आप। जो कह रहे हैं उससे धार्मिक उन्माद होगा। आप कह रहे हैं बीजेपी पोलराइजेशन कर रही है, आरएसएस पोलराइजेशन कर रही है, और सबसे पोलराइजिंग सजेशन तो आपका है कि गिरा दो कुतुब मीनार। अरे क्यों गिरा दे कुतुब मीनार?
आप देख नहीं रहे स्पीच?
कोई नहीं गिरा रहा कि कुतुब मीनार।
आप प्रधानमंत्री जी के भाषण को सुन रही हैं, आप योगी जी के भाषण को सुन रही हैं।
बिल्कुल, आप बताइए, योगी आदित्यनाथ या प्रधानमंत्री या किसी ने भी अपने भाषण में कहां बोला है कि कुतुब मीनार गिरा दो?
भाई एक बार तो
उल्टा सर, let me actually tell you, sir, if I may just remind you that the Archaeological Survey of India, which reports to the government of India, actually submitted in court कि ताजमहल के जो 40 कमरे हैं वहां हम नहीं खोलेंगे। And the same Archaeological Survey of India said कि कुतुब मीनार को भले से ही मंदिर तोड़ के बनाया गया हो, पर क्योंकि वो प्रोटेक्टेड मॉन्यूमेंट है, वहां पर पूजा की इजाजत नहीं दी जाएगी।
I am just telling you.
Yes. So you might suggest कि कुतुब मीनार तोड़ दी जाए। The government of India said तोड़ना दूर, वहां पे पूजा भी नहीं होगी।
Why you throw it out. You demolish it. You demolish Taj Mahal. You demolish Agra Fort. There should be a peace in the country. Every day you cannot open a Pandora's box. Every day you cannot open a Pandora's box. So I say, these guys who are there, those who do not have, those who are not reading correctly Mohan Bhagwat, they are challenging even Mohan Bhagwat. Then what to do?
Okay, विनोद बंसल जी, इससे पहले कि आप रिस्पॉन्ड करें, अतुल अंजान जी, आपने बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग पॉइंट्स दिए। आप मेरे को एक एग्जांपल दे देंगे उस जगह का जहां पर वीएचपी ने जाके एक्सकवेशन शुरू कर दिया? एक एग्जांपल, क्योंकि आपने कहा ये लोग जगह जगह जाके एक्सकवेशन कर रहे हैं, एक उदाहरण देंगे आप?
अरे ये एस्केलेशन नहीं है तो क्या है? जा करके वहां डिस्प्यूट क्रिएट करना, वहां होली बुक्स को पढ़ना, नरेट करना, यू आर क्रिएटिंग ए पोलराइजेशन विद दैट।
पद्मजा जी देखिए इनकी भाषा देखिए।
आज आप उन सारी जगहों पर
क्रिएट करना मतलब अब आप कह रहे हैं कोर्ट भी जाना मना हो गया। एक सेकेंड I will just put this on pause for a second, and we are being told that it is the BJP RSS Sangh Parivar which is doing escalation and is polarizing, but here it is the left who is saying कि तोड़ दो कुतुब मीनार। Till date there is nobody who has said कि कुतुब मीनार तोड़ो। In fact, if anything, today's message also is कि अगर आपको प्रॉब्लम है आप सिर्फ और सिर्फ कोर्ट में जाइए। अतुल अंजान जी, कोर्ट का रास्ता एस्केलेशन कैसे हो सकता है? ये लीगल प्रोसेस है।
मैं आप बिना मतलब बात पकड़ रही है मेरा। कोर्ट जो कह रहा मैं कह रहा हूं माने वो कोर्ट की जो बात हो रही है एवरीडे। क्यों ये ताजमहल पर जाकर पूजा करने जा रहे हैं?
कौन जा रहा है ताजमहल पे
पूजा करने जा रहे हैं? क्यों ये कुतुब मीनार पर पूजा करने जा रहा है?
विनोद बंसल, क्या आप ताजमहल पे पूजा करने जा रहे हैं?
कौन जा रहा है? दिखाई नहीं देता। अरे पीछे वहां पूजा कर रहे हैं, आपको दिखाई नहीं दे रहा है।
कौन सर?
इनका जो वॉल्यूम कम करिए। मैं
अच्छा
सारी बातों
ठीक है। अच्छा तो आपका एलिगेशन है, एक सेकंड अतुल अंजान जी का जवाब दीजिए। विनोद बंसल, आप कहते हैं कि आप सिर्फ कोर्ट का सम्मान करते हैं, पर आप लोग जाकर के कुतुब मीनार पर पूजा करने की कोशिश करते हैं, ताजमहल पे पूजा करने की कोशिश करते हैं, ये इल्जाम है अतुल अंजान का, और आप एक्सकवेशन से एस्केलेशन कर रहे हैं।
देखिए बात यह है कि इनके पास जब एक्सकेवेशन का जवाब नहीं मिला तो ये एस्केलेशन पा गए, और जब इन्होंने कहा कि जब तोड़ने की बात आई कि ये विश्व हिंदू परिषद वाले तोड़ने लग जाते तो इनके पास कोई जवाब नहीं था। विश्व हिंदू परिषद तोड़ने का नहीं, कम्युनिस्टों की तरह तोड़ने का काम नहीं करती बल्कि जोड़ने का काम करती है। मैं आप बड़ा स्पष्ट कर दूं, और आपको सुधी दर्शक अच्छी तरह जानते हैं कि कम्युनिस्टों का
कोई जोड़ने का काम आप लोग नहीं करते, देश तोड़ने का काम
की आवश्यकता नहीं है। अतुल जी इस बात से अनजान है, अतुल जी इस बात से अनजान है कि हमने ताजमहल में हमने कुतुब मीनार में पूजा की परमिशन मांगी थी। हमने ये कहा था कि हमारे देवी देवताओं का अपमान हो रहा है। अगर अतुल जी अगर इससे भी आप अनजान हैं, अगर आप इससे भी अनजान हैं अतुल जी कि वहां पे लिखा हुआ है कि 27 हिंदू जैन मंदिरों को तोड़ करके वो मीनार के पास में जो कुतुबुद्दीन ऐबक ने जो मस्जिद में वो एक स्ट्रक्चर बनाया था, वो वहां पर मैं पूजा की अनुमति नहीं मिलनी चाहिए। तो ठीक है, आपको सलाम। मैं कहता हूं कुतुब मीनार के संदर्भ में किसी भी हिंदू ने कुछ नहीं बोला, कोई तोड़ने की बात नहीं हुई।
आप कोर्ट ने
ना किसी मस्जिद को तोड़ने की बात
अब कोर्ट ने और सरकार ने बोल दिया है कि कुतुब मीनार, एक सेकंड विनोद बंसल जी, अब कोर्ट ने और सरकार ने बोल दिया है कि कुतुब मीनार और ताजमहल पे पूजा नहीं होगी। आप मानेंगे इसको? आप इसको रिस्पेक्टफुली मानेंगे?
पहुंच गए आप ही के ये
मैं नकारा लोग है ना, वहां पर नमाज भी क्यों हो रही थी? नमाज क्यों हो रही थी? ये कम्युनिस्टों के कारण हो रही थी। आखिरकार जब एएसआई का मोन्यूमेंट है,
अरे छोड़िए
मीनार के अंदर भी क्यों नमाज हो रही है, मुझे बताइए ना। और मैं कहता हूँ ये जो है ये
तोड़ने वाले
एक सेकंड
आपको जानते हैं।
ओके, वन एट ए टाइम प्लीज।
आप बोल रहे थे तब नहीं है, मैं आपको बोलने नहीं दूंगा, आपने क्यों बोला?
ओके,
आप पहले अपनी बात कहिए, जब मैं नहीं बोलूंगा किसी के बीच में।
जब इनकी बारी आई तो मुझे बोलने नहीं दे रहे।
एक सेकंड, कैन वी प्लीज हैव वन पर्सन स्पीकिंग एट ए टाइम? अपनी बात पूरी कीजिए। विनोद बंसल जी, आप मानेंगे कोर्ट का ऑर्डर?
निश्चित रूप से हमने माना है, हमेशा से माना है। पद्मजा जी देखिए, यही हिंदू समाज है जिसने 70 साल तक अपनी छाती पे पत्थर रख करके 500 साल तक संघर्ष किया, राम जन्मभूमि की लड़ाई लड़ी। आखिरकार 70 साल के बाद हमें न्याय मिला, सर्वोच्च न्यायालय से, सर्वसम्मत न्यायालय को हमने विद एफिडेविट स्वीकार किया कि हाँ हम स्वीकार करेंगे। लेकिन ये हैं कम्युनिस्ट जिन्होंने एड़ी चोटी का दम लगा दिया कि न्यायालय का निर्णय नहीं होना चाहिए।
ओके, पवन राव अंबेडकर, इमेजिन अ सिचुएशन, एक ऐसी सिचुएशन आप सोचिए वेयर अ हिंदू majority country which is supposedly ruled, I mean which has a government supposedly which is Hindu majoritarian, is being told that yes, your temples were broken, yes, there have been historical wrongs, yes, it is an article of faith for you, but you only have to listen to the court. And yet somehow this is supposed to be a bigoted majority. How? The majority here is being told you have been wronged, but you have to listen to the courts, you will not do anything else. Has that entire narrative of bigotry just been shot to pieces? Pavan Rao Ambedkar.
First of all, I reject your word Hindu majority. This is not feasible for this country. This country is not a Hindu majority country. First of all, I tell you clearly. And now tell the statement given by Mr. Honorable
Sir, I'm making a very practical statement.
Listen, Padmaja.
I mean, the statistics bear out. There are a majority of Hindus. I'm not saying that it is a Hindu country or it is only for Hindus. I'm saying it's a Hindu majority country. What is there to dispute in that?
Madam, listen. The problem is this: the minorities in majorities are creating condition. This condition is created by minorities among the majorities. Now, see the clarity, see the statement and clear statement given by the Mohan Bhagwat sir. Whether he was appointed by the PMO of India, whether he is any authorized person, any constitutional person, any judicial person, any administrative person. This organization is an unregistered organization, unauthorized organization, undemocratic organization run by RSS, and the chief of our RSS is telling the statement. See the statement clearly. ज्ञानवापी का मुद्दा चल रहा है. अब ऐसे मुद्दे इतिहास तो हैं, उसमें हम बदल नहीं सकते, उसको हमने नहीं बनाया. ना आज के अपने आप को हिंदू कहलाने वाले, सी द क्लियर लाइन, ना आज के अपने आप को हिंदू कहलाने वाले, आज के अपने हिंदू कहलाने वाले. व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ दिस? I was reading the book written by Goswami Tulsidas Krit Ramcharitmanas Ramayana. There is no Hindu word written in this book. There is no Hindu written word in this book. That's why I am telling you are talking about the majority Hindu. I am condemning this word because among the majority Hindu, the minorities, they are doing the drastic thing in this country.
What drastic thing? Sir, let's be very honest. 30 minute की TV debate में we cannot have a theological debate कि अभी हिंदू का मतलब क्या है, हिंदू कब आए इंडिया के अंदर, हिंदुइज्म की शुरुआत कब हुई. तो मेरा आपसे सिंपल सवाल ये है that do you think that this is an effort to try and give a message of unity?
This is not an effort. Listen, ma'am.
मोहन भागवत का सिंपल सा सवाल ये है और सिंपल सा आग्रह ये है कि देखिए, आप किसी के मन में किसी के खिलाफ द्वेष मत रखिए. आपको अगर कोई प्रॉब्लम है, आप कोर्ट के पास जाइए.
Who has given him authority? Who has given him authority?
अरे भाई, वो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के चीफ हैं, अपने ट्रेनिंग कैंप के कंक्लूजन में बात कर रहे हैं, उनका जो मन वो बोले.
No one can say. We want to listen the statement from the Prime Minister of this India.
अरे सर, आप ही का ऑर्गेनाइजेशन पहले बोलता है कि बीजेपी आरएसएस से रिमोट कंट्रोल्ड है. अब आरएसएस कुछ बोल रहा है, आप कह रहे हैं कौन है आरएसएस बोलने वाला?
No, listen मैम, इस देश में, अब आप सुन लीजिए, क्लियर स्टेटमेंट हिंदी में सुन लीजिए. इस देश में राष्ट्र निर्माण, हिंदू राष्ट्र और राम राज्य के नाम पर एक पैरेलल व्यवस्था चल रही है और उस व्यवस्था को आरएसएस चला रही है.
जो अभी आप कह रहे हैं आरएसएस पैरेलल व्यवस्था चला रही है, अभी उससे पहले आप कह रहे थे आरएसएस होता ही कौन है कुछ बोलने वाला. अगर ओके, पवन राव जी, अमेजिंग. आप मानते हैं कि पैरेलल व्यवस्था आरएसएस अगर चला रहा है, पैरेलल एक कोई व्यवस्था चला रहा है, तो अच्छी बात है ना कि वो पैरेलल व्यवस्था चलाने वाले सर संचालक कह रहे हैं हम मिल के रहना चाहते हैं, हम कोर्ट से न्याय चाहते हैं.
No, how can you say? You cannot say any parallel. This is a.
You said it. I didn't even say it.
You cannot say that there will be any parallel.
अरे but you said it. मैंने तो बोला भी नहीं कि वो पैरेलल व्यवस्था चला रहे हैं.
I'm not saying. The same persons are running the parallel system just like a constitution is running. Is there any need of any?
तो अच्छी बात है ना कि अगर पैरेलल व्यवस्था चल रही है और वो एकता का संदेश दे रहे हैं, तो एकता का पैरेलल संदेश आ गया.
No need of एकता का संदेश. No need of constitution is enough. The law and order is enough. The constitution is enough. There is no need of any individual person's statement.
हर्षवर्धन त्रिपाठी, अब मैं I don't know what to make of this. पहले पवन राव अम्बेडकर जी, आप गुस्सा क्यों हैं कि आरएसएस एकता का संदेश दे रहा है? आप कह रहे क्यों दे रहे हो तुम एकता का संदेश? हमें नहीं चाहिए एकता का संदेश.
सुनिए एकता का क्या संदेश दे रहे, सुनिए. बाबर और औरंगजेब आक्रांता थे, ये है एकता का संदेश। उन्होंने कहा आज के मुसलमानों के उस समय पूर्वज हिंदू थे, ये एकता का संदेश।
आपने पूरा पवन राव जी, आप आधे आधे सेंटेंसेस बोल करके आप मिसलीड कर रहे हैं। लेट मी एक्चुअली कोट टू यू व्हाट ही सेड। ही सेड बाबर और औरंगजेब आक्रांता थे, पर आज के हिंदुओं और आज के मुसलमानों का उनसे कुछ लेना देना नहीं था। अगर लोगों में नाराजगी है about temples that have been destroyed, this has got nothing to do with Indian Muslims. आप वो सेंटेंस क्यों छोड़ रहे हैं? आप ये कह रहे हैं कि बाबर औरंगजेब के बारे में बोला, बट हमारे इंडियन भाइयों जो मुस्लिम्स हैं उनके बारे में क्या बोला, आप छोड़ क्यों रहे हैं?
Listen मैम, clearly that's why I'm going to tell you.
मुझे लगता है कि डिबेट है, भाषण नहीं।
ओके, लेट हर्षवर्धन त्रिपाठी रिस्पॉन्ड। हर्षवर्धन त्रिपाठी जी, नाराजगी किस बात पे है? हर्षवर्धन जी। हाँ,
ये आपने बड़ा अच्छा सवाल किया पद्मजा। पहली बात तो ये कि जो लोग मूढ़ता के पहाड़ पर बैठे होते हैं ना, उनको समझदारी की बातें वहां ऊंचाई तक सुनाई नहीं देती। जब आप मूर्खता के पहाड़ पर बैठ जाते हैं तो सामान्य समझदारी की बातें भी आपको सुनाई नहीं देती। अभी ये पूरी बहस जो है वो क्या है, वो ये है कि देश में एक ऐसा संगठन जिसकी हिंदू समाज के बीच काम करने की पहचान है, जिसकी राम मंदिर आंदोलन से जुड़ी हुई पहचान है, जिसकी रोज शाखा के जरिए लोगों को जोड़ने की पहचान है, वो संगठन कह रहा है कि हम इस देश में किसी तरह की विभाजनकारी गतिविधि नहीं चाहते। उस संगठन के प्रमुख कहां बोल रहे थे? उस संगठन के प्रमुख बोल रहे थे संघ शिक्षा वर्ग के तृतीय वर्ष में। क्योंकि राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक संघ को उल्टा सीधा बोलना तो प्रचलन में है, लेकिन आप उनके बारे में जानते नहीं। संघ शिक्षा वर्ग तृतीय वर्ष का मतलब होता है कि जहां से संघ के प्रचारक निकलकर देश भर में काम करने के लिए जाते हैं। तो संघ का कोई दोहरा चरित्र नहीं है। सरसंघ चालक उनके सामने कह रहे हैं कि जगह जगह शिवलिंग खोजने की जरूरत नहीं है। आप जो कुछ है, जो न्यायालय है, वो सर्वश्रेष्ठ है, सबसे बड़ी व्यवस्था है और उसका सम्मान करना सीखिए। मुझे लगता है स्वतंत्र भारत के इतिहास में ये बहुत ऐतिहासिक बयान है। ये देश की एकता अखंडता के लिए बहुत बड़ा बयान है। इसको इसी तरह से देखा जाना चाहिए। और लेकिन इसके साथ मैं एक बात जोड़ूंगा कि काशी और मथुरा जैसी जगह पर मुसलमानों को भी यह सोचना चाहिए कि जहां सामने शिवलिंग दिख रहा है, जहां सब कुछ सामने है, क्या कभी उनकी तरफ से सौहार्द की बात आएगी? उनके बड़े नेता ये बोल पाएंगे क्या? इतना साहस है क्या?
पवन राव अम्बेडकर, ताली दो हाथ से बजती है।
क्या कहता है सुप्रीम कोर्ट का ऑर्डर, क्या कहता है 5 जजेस का बेंच, क्या जजमेंट है, और इलाहाबाद हाई कोर्ट क्या कहता है? हमको इस पर बिलीव करना चाहिए। आस्थाओं के आधार पर देश चलेगा तो पूरे देश में आप लोग बुलडोजर
नहीं, किसी आस्था के आधार पर नहीं। पद्मजा ये क्या बोल रहे हैं? कुछ पता नहीं, डिबेट में आ गए हैं, इनको कुछ जानकारी नहीं है। कोई एक समझदारी की बात, ये एक लाइन ये नहीं कर रहे हैं सज्जन, और लगातार ये कह रहे हैं लगातार न्यायालयों के निर्णय के बाद ही राम मंदिर बना, सर्वोच्च न्यायालय के फैसले के बाद ज्ञानवापी में ये सब हो रहा है। ये
अगर आप एक सेकेंड, अगर आप सारे कोर्ट्स को मानते हैं ना सर, तो सच बात यही है कि जो स्पेशल सीबीआई कोर्ट है हैज डिस्चार्ज्ड ऑल 32 अक्यूज्ड इन द बाबरी डेमोलिशन केस। ये सीबीआई कोर्ट से हुआ है। So much so that the CBI court even went on to say that the newspaper clips could not be believed, the eyewitnesses were incoherent, and it was a group of unknown car sevaks who unruly mob who went ahead and demolished. तो अगर आप कोर्ट को मानते हैं तब तो बात यह भी है कि कोर्ट ने 32 के 32 लोगों को बाइज्जत बरी किया है, एंड दैट इज अ फैक्ट। इट इज अ फैक्ट
कि सब कुछ गंवाने के बाद ये पता चल रहा है कि किसी ने कुछ किया ही नहीं है।
पर सर ये तो कोर्ट ने बोला है ना, आप कह रहे हैं कि आप कोर्ट को मानते हैं। एक सेकंड,
इस देश में क्या मजाक चल रहा है?
मजाक तो ये है सर कि यहाँ पर
आप कर रहे हैं, एक भी लॉजिकल बात नहीं कर रहे हैं, एक भी फैक्ट की बात नहीं कर रहे हैं। आपको ये तक नहीं पता है कि इस देश में न्यायालय काम कैसे करता है। आपको ये तक नहीं पता है कि न्यायालय के निर्णय के बाद ये कहना कि देश कैसे चल रहा है। आप क्या करना चाह रहे हैं? आप
सबसे अमेजिंग बात ये है पंकज शर्मा जी, सबसे अमेजिंग बात ये है कि हमें बार बार ये बताया जाता है कि देश संविधान से चलेगा, भावनाओं के हिसाब से नहीं, किसी के फेथ के हिसाब से नहीं। एंड दिस इज एग्जैक्टली व्हाट द आरएसएस चीफ इज सेइंग कि हाँ हमारी भावना है, हमारी भावना हर्ट भी हुई है, बट ही इवन गोज ऑन टू से दैट जो भी हुआ इसे ना आज के हिंदुओं ने किया, ना आज के मुसलमानों ने। हमलावरों के जरिए इस्लाम बाहर से आया था। He is making it a point to say कि अभी के किसी की गलती नहीं है, हम सिर्फ कोर्ट को मानेंगे और किसी के खिलाफ नफरत नहीं रखेंगे। Then what is this whole argument कि Constitution is supreme? That's exactly what he is saying. Pankaj Sharma.
Padmaja ji, first of all, I have to make it clear every time on your show that I am not a Congress leader. I am a journalist. Two, now you have called me after 28 minutes, 20 and a half minutes. After 1.5 minutes, you will wind up your program.
Only because of Pawan Rao Ambedkar जी। उन्होंने बहुत टाइम लिया, आप उनको ब्लेम कीजिए।
तो ये तो आपको देखना है ना, ये तो आपको देखना है।
बोलिए, अभी आपका टाइम है, अनइंटरप्टेड।
You are giving unnecessary importance to this Vishwa Hindu Parishad spokesperson. You are giving unnecessary importance to this AIMIM.
Sir, now you have time and you are not using it. Go on.
No, what using it? What can I say in 1 minute?
Sir,
even then, let me say this, that, you know, the intentions don't appear that reverent. Bhagwat ji's, speech, if you read it carefully in between the lines, it is clear that he wants to tell the minority community that they are living in this country at the leniency of Hindus. To me, Bhagwat ji's speech was foxy, and there was a subtle message in it to RSS cadre and BJP workers, which is clear from what Bansalji was saying, and which is clear with what Harshvardhan Tripathi ji was saying.
Okay.
That yes, disputes are there. Bhagwat ji has not said that let us put an end to all this. No, he says disputes are there. Disputes are there, and they should be amicably solved, or let the courts decide.
Okay.
And then he says, see, he has revealed for the first time, I think, that he means RSS, participated in the Ram Janmabhoomi movement contrary to our
Can you explain why do you think that Mohan Bhagwat wanted to insinuate that Muslims are living in India at the mercy of Hindus? यहाँ उन्होंने ऐसा कहाँ कहा है?
Oh, the subtle message is this. What did he say?
ये तो वैसा हो गया ना, जाति रही भावना जैसी। मतलब लोग आपदा में अवसर ढूंढते हैं, आप अवसर में आपदा ढूंढ रहे हैं।
लगातार अगर आप देखें तो 2018 में विज्ञान भवन कार्यक्रम से लेकर आज तक मोहन भागवत तो कह रहे कि डीएनए भी हमारा एक है, ये सब हिंदू थे, सारे मुसलमान हिंदू थे। क्या इसमें कोई कंफ्यूजन है? क्या ये बात गलत है? ये तो पूरी तरह से ठीक बात है ना। तो इतनी सामान्य सी बात जिनको नहीं समझ में आए वो बिटवीन द लाइन्स ही पढ़ेंगे। जो सीधी सीधी बातें नहीं सुनना पढ़ना चाहते हैं, नहीं देखना चाहते हैं, उनको बिटवीन द लाइन्स पढ़ने की जरूरत है।
त्रिपाठी जी,
देश का संकट ये है, बिटवीन द लाइन्स पढ़ के देश में फैलाई जा रही है। बचना चाहिए लोगों। जब ये स्थिति है तो आप समझिए कि कैसे देश में मुसलमानों को कैसे परेशान किया जा रहा है, कैसे भड़का रहे हैं।
Need to be reconstructed.
ओके, विनोद बंसल, ये पेट्रोनाइजिंग भाषा है, ये रिकंसिलिएटरी नहीं है, ये पेट्रोनाइजिंग है।
पद्मजा जी देखिए, कुछ लोग हैं जिनकी प्रवृत्ति, प्रकृति और संस्कृति को भी बदल नहीं सकती। वो जैसे ही वो कहते हैं 12 वर्ष तक गड़ी रही और उसके बाद वो सीधी नहीं हुई। मैं वो कहना नहीं चाहता, लेकिन प्रश्न ये है, कितनी बढ़िया बात कही। अगर ये आधा घंटे का वो लेक्चर पूजरी सरसंघ चालक जी का पूरा सुन लें तो मुझे लगता है इनकी आत्मा शांत हो जाएगी, तृप्ति हो जाएगी और ये भारत के साथ जुड़ जाएंगे, मेरा पूरा विश्वास है। लेकिन उनके एक एक शब्द को समझने की आवश्यकता है। इतना वाइड उन्होंने लेक्चर दिया, और सिर्फ उन्होंने ये कोई काशी विश्वनाथ की बात की हो कि मंदिर मस्जिद की बात की हो, ऐसा नहीं है। उन्होंने पूरे संपूर्ण विश्व के साथ में हमारे जो संबंध है, वसुदेव कुटुंबकम की जो बात है और जो भाईचारे की बात है, आप देखिए परस्पर प्रेम और त्याग की बात है। भारत का जो दर्शन है और भारत ने जो पूरे विश्व को क्या दिया उसके बारे में कहा।
एक सेकंड विनोद बंसल जी, वो बिटवीन द लाइन्स कुछ पवन राव अंबेडकर आपको बताना चाहते हैं कि उन्होंने दबे मुंह से क्या बोल दिया। हाँ बताइए क्योंकि हमने मिस कर दिया, आप बताइए।
बिल्कुल सुनिए, जब ये कहते हैं कि उस समय बाबर और औरंगजेब आक्रांता के रूप में आए थे, उस आक्रमण में देव स्थानों को तोड़े गए, हजारों देव स्थान तोड़े गए। हाँ। लेकिन कुछ विशेष है जिनका पुनरुद्धार होना चाहिए, जिनका पुनरुद्धार होना चाहिए। व्हाट इज दैट?
बिल्कुल होना चाहिए।
अगर आप कह रहे हैं कि हम मिल करके बैठ कर बात करेंगे, तो मिल करके बैठ करके पुनरुद्धार कैसे करेंगे? क्या इस देश के संवैधानिक ढांचे को ढा करके करेंगे?
कोर्ट के थ्रू होना चाहिए। वो कह रहे हैं पुनरुद्धार होना चाहिए, पर कोर्ट से होना चाहिए।
आपके दिमाग में वो कीड़ा घुसा हुआ है तोड़फोड़ का। पद्मजा जी, इनके दिमाग में तोड़फोड़ का कीड़ा घुसा हुआ है। इनके दिमाग में सिर्फ तोड़फोड़ का कीड़ा है। आप देखिए, पार्टी जो जिसको रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं उसका नाम है मुसलमान, पार्टी का नाम है मुसलमान। ये इनका करेक्टर है और नाम मुसलमान है और ना उनका नाम पवन है।
शब्द कह रहे हैं कि हमने उस काम को पूरा कर दिया।
और आप देखिए, जब भगवान शंकर की बात आती है तो ये पैगंबर मोहम्मद तक पहुंच जाते हैं। ये उसके बारे में नहीं बोलेंगे कि जो लोग पतन से जुदा करने की बात करते हैं उनको आखिरकार पतन से जुदा क्यों नहीं कर देना चाहिए। एक बार नहीं बोला इन्होंने कि जो लोग पतन से जुदा करने की बात करते हैं उनको आखिरकार पतन से जुदा क्यों नहीं कर देना चाहिए। और ये जो मस्जिदों के अंदर नमाज पढ़ते हैं,
Mr. Ambedkar, I only have to say that if reading between the lines is an art, then you definitely are one of the foremost experts on it. It takes some skill for people to interpret negativity in a straightforward message that says that even if historical wrongs and historical hurts have to be addressed, nobody, least of all the majority community of a country, should take the law in their hands. The court is your only and biggest temple. If to show the primacy of the constitution, you have to negate your faith and your gods and your beliefs, then that is not something that should be acceptable in a secular India. Secular India respects everyone's feelings. On that note, thank you very much, gentlemen. What an abhorrent and hateful video that we saw yesterday coming out of Tamil Nadu. Hindu gods not just insulted in a march in Madurai, where cadre of a DMK affiliate was seen raising slogans against Lord Krishna and Ayyappa, but also that so far no arrests have been made. Several left and Dravidian parties were part of this Hindu hate rally. The red shirts chanting vulgar slogans can be seen marching under the flag of the DK, an affiliate of DMK's parent body. Now, Hindu organizations have cited this video and filed a case for malicious chants to incite enmity between two religious groups. Interestingly, despite the fact that all these people are on camera, the DMK government is yet to arrest those that were present in the march. In fact, let's begin by hearing some of the chants that were raised in the rally. We, of course, have edited the slogans that are deemed to be extremely offensive.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
All right, Kevin Matthew, political analyst, joins us along with Vikraman R, spokesperson of the VCK, Rahul Ishwar, activist, and my first question is to spokesperson of BJP, Vinod P. Selvam. The DMK is saying we've got nothing to do with it, and this is unnecessarily being parked at our door. Vinod P. Selvam.
The DMK very conveniently forgets that they are the party in power in Tamil Nadu. The Chief Minister, when he took over as Mr. Stalin, when he took over as Chief Minister, made a very promising statement that the law and order of the state will be directly under him, which means the police is directly under him. But today, a Chief Minister who has to ensure that the secular fabric of a state is safeguarded is letting these people, the Dravidian Kalagam and their affiliates, run hammock in the state. This is absolutely unacceptable in a state which has the highest number of temples in India. The Hindu majority is being completely put to all sorts of humiliation under the DMK rule. And all this even after being caught on camera. You be an atheist. We don't care about that. We don't interfere in your beliefs. But in a state where several people, crores and crores of people believe in these gods, they go day in and day out and worship these gods, you have the audacity, you have the guts to come out on the road and throw insults on our gods is only because today the law and order situation in Tamil Nadu is absolutely pathetic, and they have absolutely no regard for law and order, and people are allowed to get on the streets and chant whatever nonsense they want.
Vikraman, you might have a politics which is based on atheism. You may have grown in an anti-Brahminical plank, but why does that allow for such, frankly, disgusting chants to be made against a community and a religion and their gods?
First of all, I want to make clear that those are not our party cadres, and they were part of the rally and they made such comments, and they have been booked. Relevant sections have been slapped on them. The law is taking its own course, so we are not here to comment on that.
What is this course exactly?
They have been booked. The affair has been filed.
That's great.
The law will take
but
its
what
own
next?
course.
This is an open insult.
It is not an open insult. They have
It's
been
not?
telling what is there in the Purana, what is there in the Itikasa and everything.
Which Purana do you read, sir?
Please
tell him to be more respectful.
No. Let us figure this out, because this random interpretation of Puranas.
Mr. Vikraman,
which Purana is this, Mr. Vikraman, which you have been reading?
Let me finish it. See, all three plus you and you put together against me, I'll have to answer because I have to answer. See, Krishna's youthful career was full of illicit intimacy with the young women of Vrindavan, which is called his Rasalila. All right? There is nothing to hide. It was all written in Vishnu Purana and the Harivamsa and Bhagavata and all that. There is nothing to hide. We all know.
Sir, it speaks volumes about our country and how secular the country is, that you can sit on national TV and talk absolute trash. I'm sorry to say, but this is absolute trash, sir.
What about
you don't know anything.
How Krishna?
Where do you read this trash? Where do you read this trash, sir? And you being an official spokesperson of a party that is in government, in alliance in Tamil Nadu, makes me very, very worried of people who are voting for you and find you as a representative.
You are reading between the lines.
I am not reading any lines.
I'm sorry to say this.
What you said is trash. What illicit relationship are you talking of? Okay, let's take this one by one. Rahul Ishwar, first of all, let's begin by debunking this trash about the Puranas talking of illicit affairs. Absolutely. Rahul Ishwar.
And Padmaja, as a Hindu devotee, as a Ayyappa devotee, as a Krishna devotee, I am pained when somebody uses the word illicit. Please understand, Puranas are symbolic representation. When somebody says Ravana has 10 heads, it means Ravana has the intelligence of 10 heads, not that he carries around 10 heads. When somebody says Ayyappa is the son of Shiva and Vishnu, that doesn't mean Shiva married Ayyappa. That Shiva married Vishnu. That only means they merged with Shaivism and Vaishnavism. Sir, please listen. I'm talking. I didn't interrupt when you are talking. I didn't interrupt when you are talking. If you want me to raise voice, I can do that all day. Sir, listen to this. Sir, listen to this. Sir, listen to this first. Sir, listen to this.
And you wanted to see them.
Sir, listen to this first.
What does that entail?
Sir, listen to this. Please remember, Puranas are symbolic representations. Puranas are metaphoric representations.
Please tell me, what does it symbolically refer to?
Respect every community. Sir, please keep quiet. When it is your turn, speak.
Go on, Rahul Ishwar.
Don't speak on other people's turn.
You know, Mr. Vikraman, it would do you well, it would do you good to listen to a little bit of educated information. Go on, Rahul Ishwar.
Please, when I speak about Prophet Muhammad, I make it a point, I tell Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When I speak about Holy Jesus Christ, I make sure it is with respect. Many people misunderstand this symbolic language and they purposefully defame. Ayyappa is the son of Shiva and Vishnu means Ayyappa joined Shaivism and Vaishnavism. Ravana didn't have 10 heads. Sri Krishna had a spiritual relationship. It is a symbolic way. And how dare somebody use the word illicit? This is nothing but Hindu phobia. Let us call it what it is. This is absolutely direct Hindu phobia. They wanted to demean Hindu rituals, Hindu faith and Hindu philosophy and our deities. And they are rationalizing and giving a cover fare. This is absolute Hindu phobia. We oppose Islamophobia. But these are people who will rationalize Hindu phobia and say Hindu phobia is intellectual.
You know, Mr. Vikraman, the reason actually is, and let's call a spade, the reason you can come and say these things because there are never any consequences. These people could walk on the streets of Madurai and use words like rapist for a man or a god who is worshipped by millions across the world because they know there will be no consequences under your government. And legal consequences, by the way, is what I mean. You can sit here and replicate the same language because there will be no legal consequences. It's a big joke.
With the young women of Vrindavan, which is called as Ras Leela.
He just explained to you what Ras Leela is. Do you not know? Can you not understand that everything cannot be some uneducated WhatsApp drivel?
In his riddles in Hinduism, please go and read it.
Vinod P. Selvam.
He has been in Tamil Nadu every day. A bunch of two-faced people.
Please don't fall for WhatsApp news.
Vinod P. Selvam.
Yeah, that's what they believe in. People like Vikraman believe in WhatsApp fake news and they come and vomit it out on national television. Will his leader, will Tirumavalavan have the guts to go out and say, I don't want Hindu votes? Why do you go to temples? During elections, you go stand in temples. Will he have the guts to say, I don't want Hindu votes?
Go on, Vikraman, go on, answer.
What was his question?
Next time when you go and ask for votes, tell your voters that you think Krishna did Ras Leela and was illicit. Go and say it in the next campaign.
Question I would answer. Give me at least 10 seconds uninterrupted. Okay?
Yes, go on.
Okay, our Dravidian model is, as our Chief Minister has rightly said, we will not demolish any religious structure unlike the BJP. We will only create the structures.
You will only mock Hindu gods.
Wait, let me finish.
You will only mock Hindu gods. Is that your Dravidian model?
1,154 temples in Tamil Nadu, which is the largest in the whole
country. Sir, do not try and shift the goalpost.
So
don't try and go on to this tangent about we will not demolish anything. You literally just sat here and insulted a religion and their gods. Is that your Dravidian model?
See, they have not insulted the religion. They have stated
they literally called God a rapist. I'm sorry, those were the words used. There can be nothing more insulting. They sat on the roads and they said that 2 men got married and another one was born. That is what they said. It is unthinkable in any part of the country that people who say this would not face legal action.
Of course, they got legal action. Of course, they have been slapped FIR. Nobody is letting them free, right?
But you are literally replicating what they said on the road, sitting here.
I am not replicating what they have said. I am not replicating what they have said. I have not used any words. You were the one who were using that word.
You just said illicit relationship.
Illicit relationship is from the Dr. Ambedkar's book. You should go and read it.
Rahul Ishwar.
Are you ready to condemn it? Are you ready to condemn them?
Condemn what? Of course, there have been slapped charges. Tamil Nadu police have slapped charges. That is condemnation.
Are you ready to condemn it, sir? And stop justifying hate?
Sir, their choice of words is not correct, which I would say it is not correct, yes. But what they were trying to refer is correct. That is from the Puranas, Vishnu Purana, the Harivamsa and the Bhagwat.
What are they referring, sir?
Sir?
Sir, this is a symbolic language. Please understand, I am from Kerala. I was in jail for more than 3 weeks fighting for Ayyappa's cause. Ayyappa joined Shaivites and Vaishnavites. A symbolic meaning is saying that Shiva and Vishnu got together. What is so, rocket science in understanding this? Please don't misrepresent. Ayyappa
not everybody is as intelligent as you are, sir.
This is called a synthesis.
The masses will understand the Puranas as it is.
Yes, so please
they will
condemn
not go
unintelligent
for the deep
people.
interpretation
Please
of what is you are
please
referring, what you are going to tell them and all that. They will not understand.
Vinod P. Selvam, the argument here is that, well, we have booked these people. What more do you expect us to do? The law will take its own course. Maybe the language wasn't the best, but the intention was okay.
What I'm telling you, it is not just these people. These people are just pawns. They're just pawns who are walking the street. The people who should actually be booked are Mr. Su Venkatesan, MP from Communist, who was a part of this rally, and Mr. Thirumavalavan, the leader of BCK, who also did address this gathering. These people should be booked. They should be put behind bars. Now, this is proper instigation of, trying to create an atmosphere, tension in the state. These people have been continuously abusing Hindus when in power. During elections, they'll go to temple, they'll take all the blessings, they'll take all the honors from the god, and they'll follow all the Hindu rituals. But when they come out, Mr. Thirumavalavan follows all Hindu rituals. But when he comes out in public, and when his spokespersons like him come out in public, they speak utter nonsense. So that is Dravidian model. Dravidian model is basically trying to appease the minorities, appease them as much as you can, and during elections, do all the drama, all the drama possible.
Kevin Matthew, somehow there is this feeling that to appease your core vote bank, it is essential to try and go out and hurt a certain religion. Why is that acceptable?
Let me start with this. What has happened? The actions, the words in the video are completely condemnable. Let me condemn that on the first thing, and let me also condemn the statements made by the person representing DMK today on this panel. But having said that, today is one of the days wherein I find myself too much in agreement with Mr. Rahul Ishwar. And one thing I respect about him is his respect for other faiths and religions, because that has to happen. So, and in response to to Mr. Vinod, my response is, sir, action should be taken against them. The very same action that has been taken against the RSS people in doing the same actions in front of mosques. The law of the land should be the same for everyone in this country. And Padmaja ji, if you remember, today Al Jazeera broke a story about something similar. And so, this is a response. And I completely condone that, but this is also happening. BJP has been playing a communal card all the through the past few years, and responses tend to. It's natural that such responses.
Okay, Vinod P. Selvam, the BJP has been insulting minorities. Hindus happen to be ideological minorities in Tamil Nadu. It's a blowback.
The BJP has probably been the most secular party which has ruled this country in the last... Sorry?
That is why Al Jazeera broke a story today about how India...
Al Jazeera stories, we know what Al Jazeera stories will be. Al Jazeera stories are very well known. Now let's not get into what Al Jazeera is and how their stories are. When you're talking about what is happening in Madurai, you have no points to make about it. When the majority is being insulted on the streets, you just say, oh, okay, I condemn it, and you want to move on. You tell me in the last 8 years, you name the religious riots which have happened under the BJP rule. You tell me about the riots happened under the BJP rule. Today,
RSS people did a rally in front of mosque in North India and insulted Muslims.
Do you want to talk about the rally which happened in Malappuram in Kerala? What has happened? What has happened to the 10-year-old boy who was carried on a shoulder and was made to say, let's kill all the Hindus? What action was taken in Kerala? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what happens to these people. Filing an FIR and letting these people go. All these faces are known. You can see these faces so clearly. Why have we not been arrested so far? Why have these people not been arrested so far?
So now
they're walking the streets free. They're going scot-free. So you file the FIR, let them scot-free.
RSS and BJP, you can't maintain your calm. Is that it? So BJP and RSS can do anything. So when it comes back to you, what you do comes back to you.
The BJP and RSS has ensured, the BJP has always ensured that the law and order is being maintained.
Okay, Rahul Ishwar, quick interjection.
Padmaja, just one submission.
Yes.
Just one submission. Two negatives don't make a positive. सबका साथ, सबका विश्वास, सबका विकास. This should be our mantra beyond politics. We are a very pluralistic nation. We need to be together. So beyond left, right or center, we need to respect every faith. That was the path of Vivekananda. That was the path of Mahatma Gandhi. That was the path of Maulana Azad. That was the path of every freedom fighter.
By all means,
so
but no political party or no political ideology can make it their calling card to insult a religion if only to make a certain vote bank of theirs happy. That is the point. Thanks very much, all gentlemen. We are hoping that it doesn't just stop at booking people who are making these hateful speeches in broad daylight in our country, but that they also face the heavy hand of the law. Thanks for watching.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break. Times now. Action begins here.
For the last 2 years, the world has been relentlessly fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. As the countries across the globe prioritize vaccinations to keep the next wave of COVID at bay, India also rolled out precautionary jabs this year to achieve herd immunity against the virus. While COVID has not risen substantially in India in the last few months, the pandemic has not yet faded. India has remained on guard, but vaccination among children remains low and is significantly less talked about.
Immunizing the kids will not only check the spread of the asymptomatic infection.
You're watching the News Hour at 10. The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break. Times now. Action begins here. The News Hour at 10.
Today.
Times now. Action begins here.
क्या पूछूं आपसे कि आपका जो स्टे था कांग्रेस पार्टी में, ये शॉर्ट एंड स्वीट था कि हॉट एंड सावर था?
जब जब राजनीति में कोई फैसले होते हैं मैडम जी, तब एक बात बहुत तय होती है कि लोगों के हित के लिए, जनता की सेवा के लिए ये फैसला होना चाहिए, और उसी को देखते हुए ये फैसला लिया गया था। लेकिन जहां गए, जिस कांग्रेस पार्टी पर भरोसा किया, उनके नेताओं पर जो भरोसा किया, उससे एक बात तो तय हो गई थी कि ना ये जन सेवा करना चाहते हैं और ना कोई करता है उसको रोकने का काम करते हैं। जो जन सेवा करना चाहता है उसको रोक दो, हम नहीं करना चाहते तो हमारे साथ जुड़ जाओ। और ये काम हम नहीं कर सकते थे। हम आंदोलन के जरिए निकले थे, लोगों ने हम पर उम्मीद देखी थी, हम पर भरोसा किया था, और हमने कहीं ना कहीं गुजरात के भीतर एक अच्छी उम्मीद को खड़ा करने का काम किया था, जो कांग्रेस को इनडायरेक्टली डायरेक्टली 2017 में फायदा किया था और मजबूत विपक्ष की भूमिका में आई थी। लेकिन आज कहां हुआ, ना आपको मीटिंग में बुलाते हैं, आपको वर्किंग प्रेसिडेंट बना दिया, लेकिन कोई काम आपका तय ना किया। कहीं ना कहीं सिर्फ अपमान। और हमारे परिवार में और हमारे कई साथी कहते हैं कि अगर जहां सम्मान ना हो वहां अपमान नहीं होना चाहिए।
तो हार्दिक जी, ये सब आपको पहले से पता नहीं था? क्योंकि 2017 आप पॉलिटिक्स में आए थे और 2019 का चुनाव हुआ था, आप बहुत जगह साथ साथ घूमे थे, क्योंकि आपने फॉर्मली कांग्रेस पार्टी ज्वाइन कर ली थी। और हमेशा से लोग यही कहते हैं कि कांग्रेस पार्टी एक प्राइवेट लिमिटेड कंपनी ओन्ड बाय एक गांधी परिवार है। तो आपको पहले ये पता नहीं था या अंदर जाके कुछ ऐसा पता चला जो आप चौंक गए और इतना सरप्राइज हो गए? देखिए
नविका जी, मैं 2019 में पार्टी ज्वाइन किया था 2015 से लेकर 2019 तक मैं इंडिपेंडेंट रहा, जनता की आंदोलन किए, जनता की सेवा की और हमारे आंदोलन के कारण अनेक योजना गुजरात के लोगों को मिली। कांग्रेस में ज्वाइन होने का रीजन ये था, हमें ऐसा था कि यार हमारा कोई पॉलिटिकल फैमिली है नहीं, पॉलिटिकल परिवार नहीं है, चलो राहुल गांधी जी हमें प्रोटेक्ट करेंगे, इसीलिए हम पॉलिटिकल पार्टी ज्वाइन किया। पहले दिन से जो विपरीत परिस्थिति हमारे साथ होती थी, हर दिन हर मुद्दे को लेकर हम राहुल जी को मुद्दा बताते रहते कि आज इन लोगों ने ये किया है, आप थोड़ा देखिएगा, कोई रिस्पॉन्स नहीं, कोई जवाब नहीं। लगातार हम अपनी परेशानी पार्टी के भीतर जो थी वो राहुल जी तक पहुंचाई, लेकिन उन्होंने कभी स्टैंड नहीं लिया। तो हम जो उस भरोसे से आए थे, उस भरोसा तो हमें काम करने नहीं दे रहा था, वो तो प्रोटेक्ट नहीं कर रहा था। बात रही जब कोई लीडर दिल्ली से गुजरात आता है तो उसकी जिम्मेवारी होती है कि यार जो लीडर से यहाँ के स्टेट के, उन सबसे 1 by 1 मिल लिया जाए। कभी भी 1 by 1 मिलने का मौका नहीं दिया गया या ना 1 by 1 मिलने का काम किया। गुजरात में 2017 के चुनाव में 82 सीट्स कुल मिला के कांग्रेस की आई थी, आज कितनी है मालूम है आपको? 65। यानी कि आपके इतने विधायक चले गए, तो आपने कभी एक साथ सभी विधायक से बैठने का काम नहीं किया। जो 4 साल से मैं कह रहा था कि आप सभी विधायक से मिलिए, वो काम अभी दाहोद में 10 दिन पहले जब आए थे तब पहली बार हुआ। तो जब आप जनता के हितों के लिए काम करना नहीं चाहते, उनकी मदद नहीं करना चाहते, उनके लिए खड़ा नहीं होना चाहते, तो आप कैसे विश्वास करते हैं कि गुजरात की जनता आपको मौका देगी, आपको सहयोग देगी? और मैंने लगातार
Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching News Now Overnight with me, Priya Bahel. These are the top stories that you need to keep track of at this hour. For the first time on camera, the faces of prime suspects in Sidhu Moosewala's murder. Images of suspected hit squad in the Bolero that trailed singer's Thar captured at a fuel station just hours before the shootout. Punjab Chief Minister Bhagwat visits Moosewala's village under huge security cover. Opposition alleges policemen deployed to flank singer's grieving parents of deceased person. Ask what is man afraid of? Unabated killings of Hindus in Kashmir force them to leave the valley. Home Minister Amit Shah orders amping up of security and intelligence grid to identify trouble spots. Minor girl gang raped in an Innova returning from a pub in Hyderabad. 2 people arrested. TRS leader's son amongst 3 other underage accused. Shocking insult of Hindu gods in Tamil Nadu. Slogans insulting Lord Krishna and Lord Ayyappa raised in the rally of Dravidar Kadgam, VCK and left. Onus on Stalin government to act. After Gyanvapi, Karnataka's Jamia Masjid is now in the eye of a storm. Hindu groups stake claim to the mosque built on the ruins of Hanuman temple. PHP calls for protest from Saturday. Section 144 has been imposed.
हर मस्जिद में शिवलिंग क्यों देखना? पूजा अलग है, इसलिए अपना हित अलग है, ऐसा मानना नहीं। और संपूर्ण हिंदू समाज ने भी ये समझना।
RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat adds fuel to fire to take back temples debate. Supports legal route to reclaim religious rights but asserts there will be no mandir movements. Owaisi alleges speech is not placatory but insightful. United States slammed for claiming hate crimes against minorities were on the rise in India. It is misleading, says New Delhi. Slams report based on motivated inputs and biased views. Big developments coming in the Hyderabad gang rape case. 2 accused have now been arrested by the Telangana police. The DCP of Hyderabad West Zone conducted a press conference and gave out details of the exact age and charges against the accused. He said that the victim is not even in a state to speak to them. She was raped on the 28th but could only speak out after 3 days, and the complaint also was registered only on the basis of what the father has told the police. So the trauma of the girl can only be imagined. And most importantly, it is a TRS leader's, the ruling party leader's son who is under the lens, is amongst the 5 accused in this case.
And today we have arrested one of the accused. His name is Saduddin Malik, 18 years, he is a major. His father's name is Malik Gulam Saji, and he is a resident of Kupalkuda of Hyderabad. So this person we have taken into custody. Based on his confession also, we have corroborated the identified other accused. Prima facie, we have evidence against 3 juveniles and 1 more major. His name is Umar Khan. He is also 18 years old. Other 3 are juveniles. We cannot reveal their name. Since juvenile is there, we cannot directly reveal the identity of the family members. That is against the law. But he is the son of a VIP. As you had, MLA's son, there were a lot of allegations. It was coming in media. As per the statement of the victim, as per the CDR analysis, as per the CCTV footages, among these 5 members, he was not there. We are still investigating for further evidence, and subsequently the victim also will be in a position to reveal the complete incident. We will take the 164 statement of the victim. Then, based on the victim's statement and other investigation, if his involvement is there, 100% we will take action. But as of now, among the 5 members, which was revealed by the victim, that person is not available.
Sir, and did assault take place inside a vehicle, and where was it? I don't want a geographical location.
The assault
but whether it's in a desolate place
yes,
or
the assault took place in the vehicle. It happened in Hyderabad.
Which vehicle, sir?
Innova vehicle.
Sir, and one more thing. Why is it was it between?
They had parked the car which you had mentioned in the pastry shop. The driver was not in a position to take that. He told several excuses, and he asked these guys to get into the Innova car. That's how all the 5 accused, along with the victim girl, got into the Innova car. Till now, on the analysis of CC footages, CDR analysis, victim statement, on corroboration, among these 5 identified accused, his son was not there, but investigation is not completed. Further statement of victim also we have to take, 164 statement also, and we have to go according to the statement of the victim. If at all victim says the involvement of any further accused, definitely we will investigate, corroborate it, and 100% we will punish.
So, Amit, now this case has drawn a lot of protest by the BJP, who have taken to the streets because they say that there is a case of political patronage. While we have seen that leaders from the TRS, KTR himself as well as K. Kavita have come out to say that sternest punishment will be given to the accused. Tell us more about this TRS leader whose son is among the 3 juveniles who are under the lens in this case.
Actually, the incident reported on 28th of May and came to, then the father came to the police station on 31st. So, on 31st itself, case was registered under outrage of modesty. And later, because the victim couldn't speak and she's in shocked state, she couldn't give the statement to the police, and police couldn't record what exactly happened, where exactly happened. So, later preliminary investigation has revealed that there were 5 people. As Times Now was running since morning, there were 5 people involved in this gang rape, and in that 5 there are 2 majors, that is Saduddin and Umar, and both of them, actually Saduddin has been arrested and Umar is still absconding, and other 3 are juveniles, and in 3 juveniles, one is TRS Big Neta's son. And police didn't reveal his name only because he's a juvenile and there are Supreme Court guidelines. So he's TRS Neta's son, and actually we have information that he's already picked up by the police, but police are saying that we have his location and we will pick up him in the morning hours tomorrow, and will be produced before the court. So as of now, 5 have been identified, and other 3 to 4 are still absconding, and more than 10 special teams who have been formed to nab these culprits are on ground zero to get them them. And also, police said that they have no evidence. Till now, they didn't get any evidence to book MIM MLA's son in this case. But even now, he is under scanner of the police. So police said that investigation is still going on. If we get any evidence against the MIM MLA's son, he will be arrested and he will also be booked. As of now, only TRS Neta's son has been booked, and we have information that he has already been picked up. So police saying he'll be picked up by morning hours. So as of now, this case is like, this case was like they weren't revealing any details to the media. They weren't saying, a single word, even till evening. After the 3 days, it was, actually came to light on 31st because the father came to the police station and lodged a complaint. And it's been 3-4 days, they haven't nabbed a single accused. After, protests have emerged, and after media has started taking up the stories on this gang rape issue, because today morning the gang rape has came to light actually, and finally we have accessed the CCTV footage in which we can clearly see these 4 to 5 minor boys who are the culprits, actually 3 minor boys and 2 majors. They can be seen in the CCTV footage luring the girl and also taking her, and they have taken her in an Innova. Later they have purchased a liquor bottle from a liquor shop illegally, and they have been consuming it, they have been boozing, and later they have started sexually assaulting her while the car was on move, and later they parked the vehicle and then gang raped her. And however, as of now, 5 were directly involved and 1 is indirectly involved, and he's right now being probed. As of now, the probe is going on. That is what we can say.
So briefly, just to sum it up, Somit, how many people have been arrested so far?
Only 1 has been arrested officially, but the sources say that the other TRS Neta's son has also been arrested. He has been picked up. So police are saying that 1 major, that is Saduddin, has been taken into custody, and 3 juveniles and 1 more major is still absconding. And police teams are on ground to nab these people who have committed the crime. But sources also say that this TRS Neta's son have already been picked up evening itself, and he is in police custody as of now. Because he is a minor, the police is not.
We have 3 people who are still absconding. 2 of them are adults and 1 of them is a juvenile. Is that right?
1 is adult and 2 are juveniles, and they are still absconding.
Right. Thank you, Somit, for joining us with those details. The TRS leaders earlier came out and tweeted that they request the Home Minister of the state as well as Hyderabad police to take immediate and stern action and do not spare anyone who's involved irrespective of their political affiliations. Now, this assertion is going to be extremely important because now one of the leaders belonging to the TRS's own ranks finds himself under the scanner because his son has been picked up by the police, happens to be a juvenile, which is why there are some protocols involved. Tomorrow they are going to be produced in the court as well. One needs to see what action, if at all, will be taken against the leader in this case. Moving on, yet another sensational detail coming out in Moosewala's murder mystery. Sensational details that Times Now has been piecing together for you. First, we expose the hit squad. First images of people who were captured at a fuel station refueling their vehicle, the Bolero, that hours later went on to shoot Moosewala. Now, there are more details emerging around the identity and the background of people who were involved in attack on the singer. Sources are telling Times Now that they belonged to Haryana. They were sharpshooters. 2 shooters have been identified in the case, both of them belonging to Sonipat, which further consolidates the Haryana link in this case. And as I mentioned, for the first time on camera, you will see the faces of men who supposedly killed Sidhu Moosewala. Remember, on the first day itself, we showed you how 3 cars had tailed Moosewala, ambushed him and then pumped at least 19 bullets. into him. There were 19 bullet wound injuries that the post-mortem report had come out to detail. Today, we show you their faces. We show you the faces of people who were in the cars that formed Moosewala's hit squad. Remember, on the day of murder, a Corolla and a Bolero were seen tailing Moosewala's Thar. Subsequently, we showed you footage of shots ringing out as he was ambushed and brutally shot dead. Times now tracked down the Bolero which was used by Moosewala's attackers as well. 5 days after Sidhu Moosewala was ambushed and brutally shot, these are the details that we have for you.
Sidhu Moosewala was killed in full public view, and we have seen that number of fires had been opened by that unidentified attackers. The police have already started investigation, and we have seen in the CCTV camera footage there were some vehicle which were chasing Sidhu Moosewala. We have one of the Bolero vehicle. We can see these visuals from here because it has been recovered by Mansa police, and I'll request my Vijay to show this number. What we have learned from the police during the first investigation, they have learned it's a fake number which was used by the attacker, and this is the Bolero vehicle which was used by some of the people who were chasing Sidhu Moosewala when he has just left his house, and we have already procured that